Have the Sweet 16 for you with the NCAA tournament. And then by the weekend, we will know who will be heading to San Antonio with me. Who wants to get on my back for a piggyback ride? Come on and head to San Antonio with me. Come on down to San Antonio, the old Riverwalk. Huh? The old Alamo. Come on out, y'all. So we'll see who that's going to be. If I had my druthers, it would be Duke, Houston, Florida, and Michigan State. And not Sterling to come down to San Antonio with me. Plus, dude, you can't go to San Antonio with me, dude. You're taking Thursday and Friday off. What, do you got a bachelor party next Thursday, Friday?
You put me on a different flight. That's what happened. They're like, all right, guys, Final Four. Jason's going.
Where's your flight going?
Mine's going to Florida.
Is it?
They just directed me to Florida, I guess. I don't know.
So, yeah, you've got
Weird.
a bachelor party next Thursday, Friday?
No. It's a 6-month mini moon with my wife.
A mini moon.
Because we didn't really do a full honeymoon because we bought a house instead. So it's a little mini moon.
There you go. That's nice. We did a baby moon, which was our last trip as happy married couple before we had kids. No, we did a baby moon while, she was like, 5-6 months pregnant. We're like, all right, let's go and let's go have some fun.
My sister and my brother-in-law just did that in Hawaii, so
yep,
it is a
right.
real thing.
And then she was like, "What's the push present?" I said, "The child." That's the push present. You're welcome. Got your child. Dream come true. There you go. But no, we had our honeymoon right after. So yeah, that's cool that you guys went and bought a house. Good for you. And hopefully you'll have a good time on your mini moon.
Yeah.
And I'll be at the Final Four. And why don't you do your mini moon and say, what if Missouri was in the Final Four? Would you change your mini moon to San Antonio?
I think I would have.
Yeah,
I think I would have.
But I think it's easy for you to schedule around the Final Four, not having to worry about if Missouri's going to.
It's pretty easy.
Final Four. Let's be honest. Like
Good.
KU fans at the beginning of the season are like, I don't know, man. That first weekend in April, I got to leave. Oh, we might be heading to San Antonio. I don't know. I mean, they're number one overall, number one preseason team. Knocked off North Carolina and Michigan State, and Doak is Doak. I mean, I'm probably going to be heading down to Look, when there's a Final Four in San Antonio, Kansas is there. I mean, 08, 18. I mean, they go to was it 18 that the Final Four was in San Antonio with Loyola? When was Loyola in the Final? Because Loyola was in the Final Four, and that was in San Antonio. I definitely know that they were there because I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Because if my team were to ever go to the Final Four in my lifetime, wish in one hand, Jason, I would love it to be San Antonio because it's so awesome and it's intimate and the Riverwalk and everything. Like we parked our car at our hotel or got dropped off with the taxi or, Uber, Lyft, whatever, and never got in a car again until heading back to the hotel. Everything, it's awesome. And everywhere you go in this area, it's just college basketball fans everywhere. And not only, teams that are in the Final Four. So I thought it was awesome how packed San Antonio was with Loyola Chicago fans. I'm like, that's pretty awesome, dude. You go to one Final Four in your life, and it's not like it's in Houston where everything is 45 minutes apart. The fan zone, and then practice is over here, and then you got an ESPN setup over there. Like, everything in San Antonio is right there. Here's where ESPN is broadcasting. Here's where the fan zone is. Here's the Riverwalk. Here are bars next to each other that are the bar headquarters of the teams that are in the Final Four, and you've got, like, a KU bar, and then a Loyola bar, and then right next to it. It's just so awesome. The San Antonio Final Fours are the absolute best.
I hear it's a pretty sturdy city.
It is. That's what Chuck would say.
You knucklehead.
I hope Charles Barkley goes.
Knucklehead.
He would go, right? Chuck would go? Oh, it's going to be incredible. Charles Barkley.
He's like the halftime desk at the Final Four.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Chuck
Darn
back
right,
in
man.
San Antonio
In San
is
Antone,
good.
baby.
I can't wait.
Back in San Antonio.
I don't care who's playing as long as
Yes.
Chuck's there with his San Antonio nonsense.
There's a chance that the best game of the Sweet 16 on Thursday and Friday is the first one out of the gates.
Yeah.
BYU, Alabama. Like the total is 175. I mean, that's look at 85. It'd be like 80, 86, 85, right? Well, I guess it'd be 88 to 87.
Seems low.
I mean, right? I feel like both these teams might get to this. Might be like Mizzou, Alabama.
Yeah.
at Mizzou Arena.
It could, but also I still have in the back of my mind BYU's game against Houston. Not that Alabama's the same
I
team
was going to
as
say Houston and Alabama different
right
defense.
Right after they hung 98 on
That's
Iowa
true.
State, who had a great defense, they put up like 60
Yes.
the next game.
And what they go like 2 of
was
like
terrible.
25 from behind the
It was
arc.
awful.
It was rough.
Will it be Inflategate though? Will the balls be
good
super
question.
inflated?
It's a great question.
Balls might
don't
be.
know.
Yeah.
I stopped myself, Jack. I stopped
You
myself.
actually did. You actually did. A lot of times when it's like, oh man, I caught myself. It's like, no, you didn't. You caught yourself after, and then you pause, and you're like, oh darn it, I caught myself. But you didn't actually.
Yeah.
It's like you stole, and then you got outside, and you're like, oh, I caught myself before I stole. You're already outside the store, dude. Like it's too late. You can walk in and give it back, but
We know what happened.
Right.
You at least
Yes.
walked
Where it was
outside
going.
with the product.
Yes.
I caught myself with
Right.
the product
You
before
were-
the beepers went off and you
you-
looked like a dumbass.
You
yeah.
saw the beeper. You saw some people hanging out there, and you're like, you know what? That might be for me. I'm going to go ahead and put these things back. I have no idea. I've seen that happen before, though. You're like, why? It's like 3 cop cars out here, and there's nobody
Yeah.
here. And then you see somebody walk out, and it's like, oh, they were waiting for that. And then they swarm right there. Oh, they were waiting for that person. How long were they in that store that long and stealing stuff that the cop cars already showed up before they left? All right. Mark that off the format. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us to be a part of the show. We'll talk some Royals baseball coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. Chris Bubich was throwing BBs yesterday against the Rangers. I want to talk about that. We've got our ZOUs coming up later on in the show around the 1 o'clock hour. Bracket of sound. We will eliminate those sound bites coming up about 12:45 or so. We'll talk some NFL football today. We'll hear from, we didn't get a real chance to hear from a couple of newer Kansas City Chiefs, one of those being Jalen Moore, one of those being Gardner Minshew. There may not be somebody happier in Kansas City for Gardner Minshew to be the backup quarterback than Sterling. So we'll play some sound bites coming up in the noon hour, hearing from Jalen Moore for the first time. It's been so college basketball centric last Thursday and Friday, and then the last couple of days as well. And obviously, we're getting ready for the Kansas City Royals and the Cleveland Guardians tomorrow, just after 3 o'clock, with Cole Reagans and Tanner Bybee on the mound. And the roster is set, the rotation is set. It'll be Reagans, Lugo, Waka, Bubich, Lorenzen. Which makes sense because you're 2 left-handers. You don't want to go back-to-back days. So you move Bubich up to the 4 spot, Lorenzen on the 5. I actually think that's probably how it's going to end up anyway. If we're talking about like success over the season, I
Sure.
think Bubich is going to be better than Lorenzen. But we'll get to that in ZOUs. I don't want to give anything away. I mean, I don't want to tell you guys what I think about Bubich. I'm going to spend whatever it takes at the fantasy draft this weekend, budget-wise, to get Chris Bubich on my team. I just hope nobody in my league knows that. Vontae Mack, no matter what. Chris Bubich, no matter what. And Cole Reagans. Just throwing these names out there so that somebody else is like, I know you're going to do no matter what. Yeah, 55 for Reagans, 56, 57. He's going to do it. 59, 60. You can have him. Gotcha. Let's talk college basketball here. The Sweet 16 coming up tomorrow night. But Washburn, the Ichabods, the Fighting Brett Ballards heading to the Final Four. They knocked off Lenore Ryan last night in a game where it sort of felt like they controlled from start to finish, and you could tell which was the better team out there early on. And I will say, and I'll continue to say, the MIAA basketball is such a really good brand of basketball, really good players, well-coached teams, and to me, not a surprise that they took over and sort of controlled that game from start to finish over Lenore Ryan. Because I think Washburn and I think Brett Ballard's a really, really good coach, and they've got some good players. And now they get ready for the Final Four coming up on Friday night, because it's the or tomorrow night, I should say. It's the 27th. So they play tomorrow, and then when they win, sorry, Brett, and then when they win, he wouldn't want me to jinx it, like don't burn bread. And then when they win, Saturday, 2 o'clock, they'll face off against the winner of Cal State, Dominican Hills, and DBU. Not sure about either of those teams, other than Cal State is the 7 seed. Many people may not realize Division II, 8 regions. Winning your region, going to the Elite Eight is like going to the Final Four. But when they get there, they reseed. So 1 through 8 reseeded. Washburn was reseeded as the 4th best team of the 8. The Cal State team was the 7th best team of the 8. They knocked off the 2 seed 86-84, which was West Liberty. So the number 2 seed in the Elite 8 is out. So it's the 3 and the 7. Washburn's playing the 1 seed, Nova Southeastern, that's been up there as the number 1 team most of the season. But they play in different areas. MIAA's better. Nova Southeastern's been scraping by throughout the tournament, and they beat the number 8 seed by 9 last night, while Washburn beat the 5 seed by 12. And it may not even have felt that close at times. So I like Washburn to win tomorrow night, and I think the national championship is tomorrow night. I think the winner of Nova Southeastern and Washburn will take care of the other side of the bracket and win that game. So we'll see. It's sort of like when UConn and Kentucky played each other in 11, and it was like, well, the winner of that's going to beat Butler, although it was closer than we thought. But it was like the winner of UConn, Kentucky, this is the national championship game. We felt that a number of times, like this side of the bracket, who wins, that's your national championship game, because this team may have snuck into that spot. I think that's the case with Washburn. But that game will be tomorrow at 8:30. You can watch that on ESPN+. Watched last night's game on ESPN+, and wasn't as frustrated with ESPN+ last night. It's amazing. Throughout the entire season, just kept pulling my hair out when Kansas State is playing. And then they put together the D2 tournament, and it was like seamless. Like, what the hell, man? I appreciate it, but what the hell?
They just really didn't want people to watch K-State basketball. Like, guys, we really don't want you to watch this.
Yeah, who was the K-State booster that was like, mess it all up? Mess it all up. We don't need to be watching this. Not a big deal. So congratulations to Washburn heading to the Final Four. They'll play tomorrow night against the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, and then the number 1 overall seed in the Elite 8. In Nova Southeastern. 1 loss all season. I think they're like 32-1. Good team, but
hey, make it 2, baby.
It's fine. You can be 32-1 depending on who you play. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen some teams in the NCAA tournament that, you know, smaller schools. I'm not saying that's Nova Southeastern because they're a good team. It's Division II, but we'll see. Coming up tomorrow night, I'll be watching that at 8:30 after baseball practice, which is after the Royals home opener. So big day. While also we got Sweet 16 games going on.
Yeah.
So I got the TV rocking with the Sweet 16 games, and I got the iPad up watching Washburn and Nova Southeastern. So that's going to be a tough game. Washburn's going to have to play well. Hannah's going to have to play well. And he did play well. Shorter's going to have to keep bombing away like he was last night, which was great. Andrew Orr will have, I think, less of a task. He had to guard the 7-2 center for Lenore Ryan, him being 6'8". You know, Andrew Orr, Blue Valley North in the house.
Hey, go staying up, baby. Rock the stable.
Well, he rocked the 7-2er last night, that's for sure. So I know he got into foul trouble, but he was battling down there, man. So good for him. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night. 913-912-4810. Here's what I wanted to talk about and see if there's, you know, we've talked about the Sweet 16, and we've discussed the last couple of days about, is there a trend? Is there not a trend? All of that stuff. And we've heard people weigh in on both sides of this. Jay Williams, passionate that Cinderella's dead. Grant McCaslin, strongly asserting the opinion of the frustration that the wealth gap is only growing larger, while his best player is from New Mexico, and New Mexico gets to the second round while losing JT Toppin.
Yeah.
and JT Toppin goes to Texas Tech and is JT Toppin, and that guy was at New Mexico last year. What if Donovan Dent, JT Toppin, and Junior Joseph, or Junior Joseph Day? Can't remember who it was. Number 23 for New Mexico was pretty good. If those three
Michael
guys,
Junior Porter.
Michael Junior Porter, that's exactly. They got Michael Porter Jr. getting tickets. If those three guys were out there, I don't know. I don't think they would have been a 10 seed. First of all, you know, but you know the wealth gap growing there in. So McCaslin weighed in on that. Jay Billis passionate on the other side of stop with the absurdity. Mike DeCourcy passionate on Jay Billis' side. Stop the absurdity of all of this being a trend heading in the wrong direction. But what I wanted to look at is if there is a common factor with the 16 teams that are remaining and the players that have returned, not transfers and all of that stuff. Because what's really fascinating is if you look at the top 8 by minutes per game of the 16 teams that are there and where they started their career, there's only one team whose top 8 minutes played that started their career at that school. There's another team that has 7 of the 8. You guys have any clue? I wouldn't have guessed just because it's so hard to think about all of the different players that might have come. It's difficult. You got 16 teams to think of.
I know which 2 teams have the most
that started their career at that school.
Yeah, I know this one, so I'll let someone else go.
That's fine.
Because
I wouldn't have guessed either one because I don't know. I'm throwing a dart. Legit, I'd be throwing a dart. I'd have to go through each team. Okay, 8 out of 8. Okay, Florida. Nope, they've got Iona. They've got North Texas. Nope, they've got this team. They got obviously not Texas Tech because you got JT Toppin. You've got a couple of others. You got Drake. That was the talk about Texas Tech and Drake playing each other.
Is it Auburn?
It's not Auburn.
No. I can say it if we want to. I think I know.
That's the dumbest answer I've ever heard.
That was maybe
Auburn,
the worst one.
Auburn has 4 of the top 8. 4 of their top 8
Maybe
are
the worst
from
one,
Auburn.
Jack.
Because Janiah Broom's from Murray State.
I see. That slipped my mind.
Or Moorhead State. Moorhead. I think he's from Moorhead. He's either from Murray or Moorhead. Both of them smaller schools in Kentucky.
Arkansas.
But this is by the way, this is his 3rd year at Auburn, though. So that's the thing about Janiah Broom. If I wouldn't have looked, I would have guessed Broom started.
I did.
He's been there 3 years.
Yeah.
He's been there
the
3
kid
years.
that's 25. Hasn't he been there forever? Chaz.
Oh, he's been there 5 years.
And it's all at Auburn, right?
Yeah. And he's been 5 years at Auburn. So he's one of the 4, but it's not
Auburn's
Auburn.
my pick.
I'll tell you, it's a 2 seed and a 4 seed.
Michigan State.
Michigan State has 7 of the 8.
And then Purdue.
Purdue has 8 of 8.
That makes a lot of sense.
8 of 8 for Purdue. That started their career at Purdue. But what I looked at was returning players. So there's a couple of freshmen there for Purdue.
Sure.
Okay, so and there's a couple of freshmen there for Michigan State.
And why Kentucky has only
right.
because of the freshmen.
Right. And there's one team that's 0 of 8. There's one team that's 0 of 8. None of their top 8 started their career at that school.
Let's Arkansas?
Oh, that's a good guess.
There's no way they have anybody from last year's squad, do they?
Well, let's wait. No. Let's
Zero,
suss this
Wagner,
out.
Kentucky.
If you don't count freshmen, Arkansas's up there.
Damn.
If you
Oh man.
If you don't count freshmen, there's 2 teams. There's definitely one of them that is 0 of 8, but there's one that is 1 of 8 with a freshman.
There's definitely not Tennessee because Tennessee has a couple.
I don't know enough about Maryland.
Kentucky, I don't. Well, Kentucky's probably close because of Kentucky. Yeah,
Kentucky's 0.
Well, in fairness, though, that's because part of that's because of Cal. When Cal left, so.
But it's a little misleading because that's minutes played. But Jackson Robinson doesn't play anymore, and Kirk Krissa doesn't play anymore, and so those are 2 guys that didn't start their career at Kentucky. One at Texas A&M with Jackson Robinson before going to 4 other schools before ending up at Kentucky, and Kirk Krissa at Arizona. But they have 3 players at the end of their bench that are now playing more that are freshmen at Kentucky.
Yeah.
So they are freshmen at Kentucky there. But if you look at minutes played, it's a little misleading, 0 of 8. But they don't have any starters that started their career at Kentucky. They're the only team with 0 starters on their team that started their career at that school. Arkansas has 1 of 8. And one of their starters started their career at Arkansas. But I'm just looking at it and wondering, is there something to take away from this? Because if we're looking at the top 8, I want to go into returning players, not starting your career there. Because Janiah Broom didn't start his career at Auburn. But he's a badass player that's been around Bruce Pearl for 3 years. Yeah. So what's more important? Did you start your career there, or have you been around the system for multiple years? When we talk about retention,
sure.
I think more important is the players that have returned, the players that have played together a number of years. Didn't work out for Kansas, but while Drake has a bunch of players for their first year at Drake, they've played together for a while at Northwest.
Yeah.
I mean, they played as a team, practicing, understanding Ben McCollum. And so the number 1 team in most players out of the 8 that are at least their second year in the system is Houston.
I was going to say Houston, yeah.
7 of the 8 players at Houston have been around the program at least 2 years. 4 of the 5 starters have been around the program at least 2 years. The only one is Milos Uzan from Oklahoma that is filling in for Shed.
What I find interesting in this, Houston, Michigan State, Purdue, those 3 teams in particular stand out because they're really good programs. But I don't know if they're the elite. I know they're 1 seeds, and right now Michigan State is probably in that elite territory with Tom Izzo and all that stuff. But like Purdue's always really good, but they're not
Pretty
Duke,
consistent.
they're not Kansas, they're not kind of UConn to an extent.
I mean, they've gone to a Final Four. They had guys returning, and Zach Edey was a stud.
But it's almost like, where would those guys go? Right, because Kansas even had more turnover. I think they brought in AJ Storr and Remy Martin before in the past. Purdue somewhat feels like they get 4-year guys. I don't know how they recruit.
So
but
here's what the out of the top 8, the schools that have more than half. So at least 5 of their top 8 are returning, more than half. These are the schools. And I'll go through by seed. Houston has 7. They're a 1 seed.
okay,
Florida and Auburn, 1 seeds, have 6. Michigan State has 5 as a 2 seed. And then Purdue has 6. So there are 5 schools that have more than half of their players out of their top 8 are at least second-year players. And 4 of the 5 are 1s and 2 seeds. I mean, I don't know if there's anything to take away from that are still playing in the Sweet 16.
sure.
Because, again, if Michigan State would have struggled a little bit more against New Mexico, they would be out and we'd be saying, well, there's only 4 teams that are with 6 or 7 that are in the top 2 of the seeds, that are still playing. All the 1s and 2s are still playing except St. John's. So it's out of a matter of 7, and 4 of those 7 have returned a majority of their players. And of the 8, more than a majority of their players. The other ones that are the 2s and the 1 seeds, Duke has 2 of 8, but you've got 4 freshmen in their starting lineup. So, I mean, and then you've got Tennessee has 4 of 8, and Alabama has 4 of 8.
I guess kind of my point I was making with those 3 schools in particular, Michigan State, Purdue, and Houston, it feels like they get a lot of 3- and 4-star guys. They get a lot of really good players, but not the elite of the elite. They don't get the Cooper Flags, and again, there's always going to be an outlier, obviously, right? But like the Cooper Flags or the Sears for Alabama or the Janai Brooms, I guess he transferred.
I mean, Sears started at Ohio.
So it feels like when you don't get the elite of the elite, you have a less chance of those guys transferring. Maybe you have a less chance of.
I've wondered that. I've honestly wondered if that's the case,
because I think you're more apt to stay around and you're going, well, where am I going to go? Do I go and become let's say a stud at New Mexico State, or do I stay at Purdue? I get here, I'm still getting playing time. I just wonder, because that's what it feels like with Michigan State, Houston, and Purdue almost perpetually is they get a lot of good players. But you get Zach Edey, of course, but that's kind of if you're a big man, you go to Purdue. Like, that's kind of
well, and it's crazy. Like, when we look at these teams, like just going through like the team's best players and where they started. Auburn, best player started at Moorhead. Maryland, best player started at Auburn. Ole Miss, best player started at Virginia Tech. Michigan State's best player started at Michigan State. Florida's best player started at Iona. Maryland's best player started at Belmont. Texas Tech started at New Mexico. Arkansas, Kentucky. Or FAU, or Kentucky, just depending on what you look at. Or the way he was playing late in that game might be Mizzou and Trevon Brazil. Duke, yeah. He's a freshman. Arizona, Alabama or North Carolina, depending on what you're looking at with Caleb Love. BYU, and Richie Saunders. Alabama, Ohio, Mark Sears. Houston, Baylor, LJ Cryer. Purdue. Kentucky, Oklahoma, Oweh. Tennessee, Ziegler. But you've got Chaz Lanier that started at North Florida, who's probably their best player. Ziegler's their leader that's been there with Rick Barnes for a long time, for 4 years now. But Chaz Lanier might be the difference as to why Tennessee's a 2 seed and playing, and he was at North Florida last year. And that guy doesn't miss. So I could argue their best player is Chaz Lanier, North Florida.
And the year
Just
prior was Dalton Connect.
Yeah.
Right? Dalton Connect for Tennessee. He transferred from
Northern Colorado.
yeah.
That's 6 of the 16 teams whose best player is from a mid-major that are in the Sweet 16. Best player started at a mid-major, 6 of the 16. Maybe it's less than I thought. Maybe it's more than I thought. I don't know in today's basketball if that's the case or not. But it's what we're seeing. But it's like finding the mid-major guy, but then keeping him for a couple of years. Yeah. Seems to be how these teams are doing it in the spot that they are. Because only one of Florida's 5 starters started at Florida. But they've got guys who are veterans that started at Iona and Belmont and FAU and Washington State, etc. Marshall, they only have 2 of their top 8 that started at Florida that have played more than a couple of years. So I just thought that was just to look through that, and I spent an hour and a half doing it, so I figured I wanted to get it on the air. Looking through all top 8 of all 16 teams, do the math. That was a lot of players to look at and where they started and minutes and everything, but you've got some teams that are dominant, that have stud freshmen in Duke, and you've got some teams that are dominant that have tons of returning players. So it's like have the veterans or have the lottery picks. There's your choice. But it doesn't matter where they started. They could start at Power 5 or mid-major. That's one of my other takeaways on this. Power 5 or mid-major, doesn't matter where they started. Identify, develop, retain, and build with them. You find yourself as a 1 or 2 or 3 seed and playing in the second weekend. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Tom Izzo was incredibly passionate yesterday in his press conference. Incredibly passionate about what's going on with the transfer portal. We'll play that coming up next. Baseball coming up at 11 o'clock. Talk about the roster being finalized, 26-man roster, who the reserve players are, the bullpen finalized, the pitching staff rotation is ready to go, and we will see what that starting lineup looks like tomorrow with Cole Reagans on the mound, who's playing where, which positions, and things like that. We'll talk some NFL football coming up in the noon hour, some NFL rules changes. Russell Wilson is a New York Giant, and I'm telling you, there's a series here. There's a buddy cop series somewhere here with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston together in the same quarterback room.
I would watch that.
There's got to be something here with Jameis Winston being funny and aloof and Russell Wilson just being as buttoned up as ever. Like, there's a buddy cop show here. Hard Knocks should be there just for those two. I know that the Giants did the offseason, and so they're not doing it again, but we should have Hard Knocks just in the quarterback room of Russ and Jameis hanging out together.
Who's giving the pregame speech?
Oh, it's Jameis.
But if Russell Wilson's a starter, you're going to let the backup QB give the pregame
Yes.
speech?
Yes. Yeah, because Russ is going to be like, all right, guys, let's work hard, and let's make our families proud. And then Jameis is like, remember when you were a kid? Remember when all you wanted to do was go get some ice cream after it was over? You want the hot dog and the Pepsi? You got the little ticket after the game was over? Have that passion today, man.
That's a W. That's E1. That's E1.
That's
That's a
E1.
W.
Which one would who would you rather? Thank you. Who would you rather listen to? The guy that was doing high knees on the plane,
Mr. Unlimited.
or the guy that was having a conversation with the beignets
That's a W.
at in New Orleans?
You strong?
That's a W.
Come
You
on.
strong? I said, I guess we strong. I guess we strong then. That's my all-time favorite.
I just ordered a win from Amazon. It'll be home by the time. It'll be there by the time I get home. That's how quick they are. Like, I want Jameis Winston to give my pregame speech. People are talking about the total wins for New York is sitting at 3.5. People are like, oh man, you got to take the over on that.
Is it actually 3.5?
3.5.
That's high.
I'm like, the over seems good, but
Oh, they'll win
don't
4.
don't you sign Russell Wilson so you lose games and get Arch?
You'll win 4.
No, you got to lose to get Arch.
I
Been
get it.
saying it.
They'll win
March
4.
for Arch.
But Dabo might not be there to draft Arch. But still,
I don't
March
think it
for
takes
Arch.
a rocket scientist to
yeah, March for Arch.
draft him.
We're gonna
I
sign-
think if they were going to sign Russ, you wouldn't sign Russ. You would just go with, I don't know.
Jameis,
Yeah, you would have brought in like Kenny Pickett. I don't know. You'd have
Mason Rudolph.
the Steelers quarterback room basically is what you would do.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
what you would do. Yes. All right. Let's hear from Tom Izzo. The transfer window transfer portal opened up on Monday, and we talked about 2 years ago. The first day there was 170 players that put their name in the transfer portal on the first day. Last year there was 291 players that put their name in the transfer portal on the first day, and this year there were 700 players that put their name in the transfer portal on the first day. Tom Izzo was asked about splitting your time between getting your team ready to go for the NCAA tournament, Sweet 16, Final Four, maybe winning a national championship, while also recruiting and players in the transfer portal, and how he balances that.
What my team's done has been incredible, and I'm not ready to move on. So, Judd, I followed what you said. You know, I'm going to worry today about the guys I got in this program that have done an incredible job this year, and that's it. And if that costs me later, so be it. But Tom Izzo isn't cheating the people that he has that have been loyal to him for this chaos that is going on out there. Is that cool? You got enough? No, because you don't understand. When I came back Sunday night, that was it. There was nothing on my mind but giving these guys a chance to win one more game, get to Elite Eight, and one more game, and have a memory that'll last their entire life, their kids' life, and their grandkids' life, because that's what it is. And so excuse me for being passionate about it or pissed off about it, whichever words you want to use, but I'm not going to talk about it because it's not fair. It's not fair to the people. You could say it's fair to your program. I'll run my program like I want to run my program. And people have a disagreement with that, God bless them. But These guys that gave me everything they could give me are going to have a chance, and I'm not going to screw it up by spending any time on other stuff other than, I don't eat, I don't sleep right now, so why in the hell would I do something else that might benefit me a year from now? And really, it's not going to benefit me now because I don't know what I have. I don't know how much money I have. I don't know which players are leaving or staying. I don't have any idea. So why would I do that? Waste of time.
So there you go. There's Tom Izzo. He did speak in the third person for a second, so I like that.
Ricky Henderson.
Yes, Tom Izzo's not going to worry about anything from a year now from Tom Izzo. Look, if I played for Michigan State, I would love what Tom Izzo had to say there. And I've said it before, like, hey, man, my kid could play for Tom Izzo. I'd be perfectly fine if my kid went to college and played for Tom Izzo, because also he'd have a full ride to Michigan State.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty badass.
Of course.
But just saying, if he had his choice of all of the coaches and he's like, you know what, I want to play for Tom Izzo. Like, you know what, I want to play for Bob Knight. Nope, sorry, I'm stepping in. Not happening. Not going to take place, because also I want you to be here on Earth with us. And alive. So playing for Bob Knight, that's a different area. I want to play for Dan Dockich. No, I want your soul to be there when you pass. I want to play for Tom Izzo. Great, that's awesome, man. But also, we are talking about a guy in Tom Izzo that there is only one of his top 8 that transferred in from Utah State. And he's only losing of his then top 8 players, 5 starters, and then 3 reserves off the bench, Cohen Carr, Trey Holloman, and Carson Cooper, depending on NBA. Eligibility-wise, he's only losing 2 of them. So, in theory, if Jace Richardson returns, he would have, 6 of his top 8 players that played against New Mexico last weekend? He'd have 6 of those 8 returning. And so it isn't as like some of the other schools maybe that have to be more invested with players that might be leaving or players that have exhausted eligibility. But I think it's, I don't understand why you couldn't push this back 1 week.
Yep.
Or 2 weeks. Like even 1 week. Okay, great. You got 4 teams that are there. Okay, will you exchange a Final Four to then be a week late to the portal? Oh, yeah. I think everybody would.
The college football playoff. It was literally what everyone had been working their whole season for, and in the first week, they had teams that were in it that had kids in the transfer portal that were currently in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, I appreciate what Tom Izzo said there. Like, why would I waste my time on something that will help me a year from now when I got a game coming up in a couple of days? Like, that's going to help me a year from now. If I split my time doing that and I lose now, well, that's not helping the kids that I'm coaching at this particular time. I do think it would be a simple fix just to move it back a week, because it's already been moved back a week. You can move it back 1 more week. It's not hurting anybody if you do that. The players still would be able to put their name in the transfer portal and get plenty of time to go through recruitment and all of that stuff. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for it to happen during the NCAA tournament and have the teams that don't even know who's going to be there or not.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to be returning if you've got only a couple of players that have exhausted eligibility?
It's not football. Football, we've talked about it. Football, I understand the thought process.
You'll have 115 scholarships starting next year in football.
Well, and because of football, you have school. You have to figure out where you're going because you have to enroll in classes. Fair or not, that is an actual part of it. Basketball,
true.
There's no reason. It's just arbitrary. School, you don't have to figure out when you have to go to what classes and all that stuff by April 3rd versus March 24th. There's no difference.
Yeah, but if you want to be their second semester in football, you're right. You got
football. You have to,
you
right?
Pick it pretty quickly.
So football, there's some scholastic reasons behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball, you don't have that. It's arbitrary, in my opinion.
It's a good thing for the landscape of college basketball that you still have teams like Michigan State and teams like Houston that have player retention and they bring guys back over and over again. Now, I will say Michigan State's never going to struggle to recruit. They can get 5-star freshmen. They can get talented guys at the program. But Tom Izzo has felt this way ever since the era of NIL and transfer portal got wild. He would refuse to go into the portal and bring back guys, even if it meant it was going to be a rebuilding year, and now we're seeing the benefits of that. But I look at what Tom Izzo's doing, and there is truth to it that if you are going through the portal and you find a guy who's going on his 4th school, it's very comparable to if you were dating a girl or a guy that was on your 4th or 5th marriage. It's like, oh, this time it's going to be different. And that's why I feel a lot of coaches, they get frustrated with these players that they're 1 year here, the next year here, the next year here. Why would I worry about going after that guy, even if he's the number 1 player in the portal, when why should we be any different? He could be at top schools over there. He could average 20 points a game, but it's about bringing guys to my program I know can buy into what I'm doing here. And that now feels like is what it's important. I listened to an interview from, I want to say it was Dan Hurley actually, earlier this year about how you have the back-to-back championship teams. And he said, I got guys that were fitting my system, fitting what I wanted to do. And this year, he brought in some very talented transfers. It just didn't work out, and that's going to happen until there is a cap on this thing. And I don't really know how you cap it, but for Izzo and for Kelvin Sampson to be this far in the tournament, I believe it should be a blueprint for some of these coaches because there are old-school guys that don't like the way things are. Some of those coaches still have the resources to bring in 5-star talent, but what Tom Izzo is doing, it's not fraudulent. He's felt this way from the beginning, and every single year, I remember the Champions Classic, he would say, I would just rather bring back my guys. And they would say on the broadcast, well, they have the least amount of transfers where Kansas had 4 or 5 or Duke had a few or Kentucky had multiple. And I honestly like it. There are 2 schools of thought because there's also teams that use the transfer portal and won championships for it. But if Tom Izzo wins a championship this year, I guarantee you there will be a lot of coaches going, maybe instead of trying to compete with all the teams with a lot of money, we should just worry about bringing in guys and trying to mold them for 3 or 4 years if we can keep them here.
The retention. I like it. I think that's where the focus to me, like for Missouri, for the local schools, can you retain? Are you spending the most amount of money on your team to retain? You spent the time recruiting those players from high school. Like for Mizzou, I think it's imperative for retention for them. The last thing you want to do is go into the offseason and go, oh, hey, the freshman that looked the best, T.O. Barrett's transferring somewhere else. Well, you spent all the time recruiting him, developing him, and having him play and looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Look for a freshman around those older guys late in the SEC season and SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament coming out there and playing the way that he did. Like, there's a lot of excitement for Anthony Robinson and T.O. Barrett on the court at the same time in the backcourt. But what you don't want to do is wake up and go, T.O. Barrett's he's playing for the Tar Heels now. Like, well, that would suck.
Don't even put that in the.
No, I'm just saying that's where the retention comes in when you spend that time to recruit those players. And for Kansas, going after Hunter Dickinson, made sense at the time because we were new to the NIL thing, and it was like, oh my God, the best free agent out there. All right, this guy is a stud, perfect for Bill Self, high-low system. He can stretch the floor if need be. But it cost you Zuby. And so, looking back, would it have been better to spend the money on keeping Zuby, or if whatever it cost Hunter Dickinson to split that up between Zuby and somebody else as opposed to just Hunter, and then Zuby leaves to go to St. John's? Like, would that have been better served? Looking back now, yeah, probably. But we were new to it. And so maybe that's where Bill Self is reassessing now that Hunter Dickinson has exhausted eligibility, is done, maybe it's not just this is the best free agent out there. I'll take the 17th or 18th best free agent because it's better for my team.
Well, they also had LeBaron Philon who went to Alabama and recruited A.J. Storr in, and that's what eventually pushed Philon out. And see, this is also where you can take the old school way of thinking in college hoops of, hey, it might be a year where you go 21 and 10 with 3 freshmen that you're starting, but if you don't over-recruit or recruit over them the next year, you'll have really good pieces in place here. And for Kansas, that's why it was such a bad year, is you had all this experience, all these seniors. The only guy you might be bringing back is Flory Badunga, and you then stopped his progression once KJ Adams came back because he wasn't starting anymore. And that's where if it was a do-over again, maybe you do. For the Zuby Ejiofor thing, I feel Kansas fans would have been pretty upset if they didn't go after Hunter Dickinson at the time. But, hey, 2 years later, what Rick Pitino's done with him, that's what you can do with some of these guys. It might not show up in year 1 or year 2, but, man, you might have a beast in year 3, and I would hope to see more of that in college basketball.
Yeah, the 3 players for Michigan State that have only been there a couple of years or one, And because Michigan State has all these players that started their recruits, they were all top 50 players, but you're also not talking about top 10 players. Cohen Carr was like 46. Fears was like, 30-something. And Jace Richardson was in the mid-30s. Also, his dad was a Spartan. But we're not talking about number one recruiting classes by keeping these three players there that were recruits and stayed around, or Jace Richardson being a guy who was a recruit and now is a big-time player for them as a freshman. Some Royals baseball, some Major League Baseball. We'll get into the Royals finalizing their roster, the 26-man roster, what's it look like, who the reserves are, the starting staff, Chris Bubich's final tune-up yesterday. And boy, was he tuning up the Rangers. Let me tell you that. You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. Well, Bubic was dealing last night, yesterday afternoon, whatever you want to call it, as the Royals get set for the Guardians tomorrow in a big 3-game set to start the season. They all mean the same. They all matter the exact same. It's opening day, though. There's some romance around it. It's better to win opening day than lose opening day. But still, we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll talk some Royals baseball coming up next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Jack Johnson. On this Wednesday edition of the show, let's talk some Kansas City Royals baseball. A day away from opening day. We'll go through our ZOUs coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, right at 1 o'clock. We got our bracket of sound eliminating those teams coming up at about 12:35, 12:40 or so. A little NFL news. If you missed it, Russell Wilson last night signing with the New York Giants. Stephon Diggs signing a 3-year contract with the New England Patriots. That's right, with the New England Patriots, 3 years worth up to $69 million.
Nice.
We'll see what.
You know, my favorite part about that last night.
What's up?
I think they're done waiting on Aaron Rodgers. I think the NFL sphere is done waiting on Aaron Rodgers with that Russell Wilson signing, and then the Stephon Diggs right after it.
Right, and then you've got the Vikings that are like, we're moving forward. J.J. McCarthy is our.
love it.
Yeah, it's like Steelers or Steelers. So I feel like the Steelers.
Or retirement, remember.
The Steelers are like, if it ain't Aaron Rodgers, I don't know who. And Aaron Rodgers probably like, well, if it ain't the Steelers, I guess it's retirement. It seems like there's an arranged marriage here. Just get it done, dude.
Mason Rudolph.
Figure it out. But I would wonder if the up to is doing a lot of heavy lifting for Stephon Diggs' 3-year, $69 million contract. Because is he making $23 million per year? Or again, what's going on with that particular contract? We'll see. But coming off the torn ACL, was a player that people thought, the Chiefs could go out and get. No, thank you. No, I'm good. I'm all right. At one point, probably, but right now, no. 913-912-4810 is the text line. Again, ZOU's coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. The 26-man roster is set, and not a surprise as they ended up with the bench utility guys that we sort of guessed outside of, a couple of weeks ago. We could not have guessed Mark Canha being on the team, although nailed it. 3 weeks ago, I said Mark Canha, Biggio, and Blanco. Isn't that what I said? Go check. We'll fix it in post.
Check tape.
Yeah, check tape. Check tape. I did kill it in high school. Check tape.
It's like an NBA player to the
review.
The review.
Yeah, just do the circle, or or we're talking baseball, so you put the hands over your ears. Like, let's review the tape here. Let's see. Oh no, you were out. It's not. You are not safe on that one. We don't have audio of that. They go with Blanco as your. Thank you. Yeah, they go with Blanco as your outfielder / base stealer, pinch runner. Biggio as your utility man to play all over the field, and then Canha as your first baseman and outfielder. Biggio can play first base as well. He plays a lot of different spots, but Canha's outfield and first base. Those are the reserves. Freddie Fermin. But I feel like Freddie Fermin is sort of like, we know there's 4 reserves, but one of them was already on the team, and Fermin, I don't think the backup catcher really counts as that, because we knew it was going to be Fermin. Not a surprise with this at all. But I think these 3 are indicative of maybe where the Royals have gone in the last few years of how they are building a team. We talked about pitching staff and the power arms in the bullpen and the starters, bringing in Lugo Waka, trading for Reagans, moving Bubic back to the starting rotation after coming back from Tommy John and pitching in the bullpen. But also you had Hampson and Frazier and then Blanco and whoever else that was rotating in throughout the season as your reserve players. And now you've got Blanco that you know what he's going to offer you. When he has the crayon bat, he's going to hit 4 home runs. So just let him use the crayon bat all year. But they clearly brought in guys that get on base. They aren't going to come off the bench and hit a home run. There's no Matt Stairs here. Pinch hit to hopefully hit a home run here.
Do you think Matt Stairs can still play?
I bet Matt Stairs is crushing softball right now and hitting. I bet Matt Stairs plays in a league where he comes up to the plate and he's got bases loaded and they go, hey, use ours here, Matt.
You ever seen the Jason
Use
Worth,
our home run here, Matt.
You ever seen the Jason Worth video of him in a men's league?
Uh-uh.
jackass. It's guy throws
Yeah.
what he probably thinks is his best pitch, and it
Yeah.
doesn't. Like, it's one of those camera angles where the ball disappears into night.
Yeah, you know who you don't want to come up to plate in one of those competitive softball?
The guy that was getting paid millions for it.
Well, that's one of them. But I mean, the guy that's walking up to the plate, if you've got bases loaded and you're in a highly competitive league, you don't want the guy walking up to the plate that's wearing workers' gloves, not even batting gloves, just like the leather workers' gloves.
It's the
Carhartt.
Carhartt,
Like,
yeah.
oh, good God, that guy's hitting at 500. Third baseman, just back up. Just back up. In fact, get off the field. Because if he hits it to you, you're not fielding this, okay? The only thing that's going to happen is it's going to go through you.
He's a sturdy fella. He's wearing the Carhartt gloves.
He is sturdy as hell.
He has a large chaw in, probably a camo cutoff.
I don't know how tall he is, but he's 290 minimum.
And when you know what's scary, when he in the practice, before he gets up, he's swinging down. He's taking the practice swings,
yeah.
so you know he's going to cut that thing.
Just line drives.
That thing is going to be rising.
Yes. And
terrifying.
Also, he doesn't hold the bat like usual. Like, he's got his hands overlapped, and it's like at the bottom of the knob too.
It's a salvie.
The knob is like
it's a salvie.
The knob is halfway up his left palm, and then his right hand is sort of overlapping. You're done. You're toast.
You can't tell if he's ready to hit or not because he's just kind of sitting there like super relaxed.
toast.
You're like, you're gonna get in a swing? No, this is what he does.
Guy's hitting at 500 feet, man. You're absolutely toast. But Jason Worth probably doing the same thing. But Matt Stairs, yeah, I bet Stairs is somewhere hitting 500-foot bombs. That's what I would guess. But you don't have a guy that's coming off the bench to hit you a home run. Okay, you're not going to go and grab Biggio and say, what you do have is, now if you've got 2 outs and 1 guy on, maybe they do need somebody on their bench that you could say, can they run into one? Like we saw last year with trade acquisition. DeYoung, thank you. Paul DeYoung, bringing him in and he can run into one. But what they have is it feels like they're raising the floor of these guys may not offer you high-end ceiling, but at least they won't be a hole in the lineup. That if you bring them in, you're not fingers crossed hoping they can come through with a bunt single or a Texas leaguer, a dying quail, or a seeing eye single, ground ball with eyes, something like that. You got guys that got a history of being able to get on base, of being able to just hand the baton to the next guy. Don't think you're driving the run in from first, bringing them off the bench. But what they're hoping is that you can get that guy to second and not make the third out in the inning or the second out or grind into a double play by trying to hit a home run.
Well, we knew going into the offseason, the Royals wanted to value guys getting on base. And last year, though they did bring in a lot of talent, it was more so on the pitching side. And they knew the reason they lost to the Yankees was that their lineup wasn't good enough to compete with New York. And I do feel it was the way that New York competed in each at bat. I mean, man, how many times did they just foul off pitch after pitch, lay off one that was 3 or 4 inches below the zone or a few centimeters outside the zone? There was professional at bats, and the 3 guys you brought in offensively, you have Jonathan India, who was top 5 in walk rate last year, notoriously known for drawing walks, working the count. That's important to have over Bobby Witt Jr. But off the bench, I mean, both Kevin Biggio and Mark Canha, who played for multiple teams last year, had a walk rate in the double digits. You know how many Royals had a walk rate in the double digits last year?
I'm going to say 0.
It was 0.
Yeah.
Bobby Witt Jr. was their highest mark there, and he's not known for that.
And he's a free swinger.
Yeah. And so that's where I believe it's important when you bring in someone like Canha. No, he's not going to run into 10 home runs. I don't feel you need that. Last year, you had Nelson Velasquez off the bench with that exact intention of bottom of the ninth. In fact, it was the Padres series last year when they had that furious comeback, and he fell a few feet short.
Yeah, and I think everybody that was a Royals fan thought that as soon as he hit that.
I was there. I thought it was in the fountain.
It's gone. Yeah, that's a water ball. It's gone.
I mean, you technically do have that if you construct the lineup the way I feel it's going to be, which puts either Renfroe or Melendez on the bench. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I mean, MJ a couple times last year in a pinch hitting role was brought in there. It's probably a home run or a strikeout. And if not, he's hitting the ball incredibly hard somewhere. So maybe that is their theory with it. But I far more prefer bottom of the ninth, even if there is 2 outs, you're down by 1. Put Mark Canha up there and work a walk. And if you're pinch hitting for Kyle Isbell in the 9-hole, now it's turned over to Jonathan India.
I was going to say, India's now on deck.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little bit different than, all right, you're pinch hitting for Isbell, but then Garcia's there. or, well, you've already pinch hit earlier, so that's Adam Frazier now leading off. And so you actually need two guys to find a way. The odds of a couple of guys that are getting on base at 220 for both of them to get on base with 2 outs to get the lineup turned over to Bobby, slim to none. And I'll just say this, Slim took the day off. So you don't have a chance of those two guys coming through to get the at-bat and the lineup and a chance for Bobby to get up there. If you throw, Canna or Biggio out there and you got a 350 on-base percentage, followed by Jonathan India, who not just getting on base, but you might have the pitcher that goes, why, that guy got on base, and now I got India, and Bobby Witt's over there. I ain't walking India. I'm not going to walk this guy, all right? If he's going to get on base, he's going to earn it. Well, guess what? India can earn it. India can get on base and earn it and not just take a walk.
Well, I hope he's not walking India. Can you be like, hey, I'm walking here? I hope he's not walking India.
You don't even have a kid yet.
That
what
was
are you doing, man?
real bad. I apologize.
I have no idea that's where the Derek Queen laugh or the Kawhi.
I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed by the walking India one right there.
Or the Drake laugh.
But I love what you.
I'm walking here
for this one.
I'm walking it. No, I actually loved what you said, Jack, with MJ or Hunter Renfroe being on the bench, because that really, I think, is the best opportunity in lineup construction for the Royals, whether that's Mark Canha, whether that is, I don't know how you would construct it, just however it would be constructed. I like that, because you would have some power on the bench. You would have the speed with Dairon Blanco. You have the backup catcher with Freddie Fermin, and then you would probably have the positional versatility of either Mark Canha or Kevin Biggio. However you want to have this constructed, I just personally like that, because when I'm looking at it right now, you're right. There's no pop. Mark Canha, Dairon Blanco, Kevin Biggio. You look at the average exit velos of those guys, all under 89 miles an hour.
Do they add up to Jack Caglione?
I mean, not quite, actually. You look at the hard hit numbers. You look at all that. It's pretty bleak. But again, what do they do well? They get on base. You look at the chase percentage. You look at their strikeout numbers. You look at the walk rate. All those are outstanding. Again, I like it better than Adam Frazier or Garrett Hampson last year, who brought really. Adam Frazier did get on base a little bit. He did have some walks, so I can't completely poo-poo that. But I actually liked your thought process there. Would that be a lefty-righty matchup situation with either Hunter Renfroe or MJ on the bench? How would you construct it?
Real quick, because you would have two lefties in Biggio and Melendez, and then two righties in Canha and Hunter Renfroe.
Yeah.
And Blanco to pitch run for whoever gets on.
Yeah.
I feel the way they'll construct it is it's been very clear in spring training that Jonathan India will be the one to move around a little bit more than Michael Massey. I feel that's fine due to the back injury he had last year. You don't really want him moving around too much and maybe stressing that back. But if you have a righty, they'll face Bobby tomorrow, who's a righty. Therefore, if Vinny plays, I'd imagine he'll be at first base, and then it comes down to maybe putting India at third and then Melendez in left, so you have the extra lefty. But then against righties, you can get more creative, because I'd imagine they will want to platoon Mark Canha in that spot, whether that be left field or DH. That moves MJ to the bench. And who knows, maybe they try to platoon with Kyle Isbell this year as well. I don't know if they want to with Blanco, because the defense isn't good enough. But once Joey Weimer comes up here, it wouldn't surprise me then if they're trying to platoon both those guys, because maybe that's how you get the most out of them. Maybe you know at this point that Melendez and Isbell just aren't guys you play against righties and lefties. You say he's got power and he hits better against righties, he's only going to face righties this year.
If it's with Bobby on the mound and Vinny plays, I'd like to see India in left and MJ DHing. And Vinny plays, so you can still get Garcia's bat in the lineup, and hopefully that's getting better. Melendez can focus on hitting. And if India is going to be playing third, left, second, well, then, get him out there. Because then, maybe you're DHing Garcia, but would I rather DH Melendez, who's a lesser than defender, and put India in left, where he and Melendez are sort of 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, while putting Garcia's glove at third for this particular game? If Vinny's out, then I'd probably want to put Salvi at first and Fermin in there rather than forcing in Canha or Biggio's bat. Would I rather have Fermin's bat in there or Canna or Biggio playing first? I'd rather have Fermin's bat in there and him catching Cole Reagan's and still have Salvi over there playing first. That's just me. I don't know what they're going to do tomorrow. Hopefully it's not trying to figure that part out. Hopefully it's Vinny's playing first and now figure out who's playing third and left and DHing. And in my world, it would be Garcia third, India left, and MJ Melendez DHing.
Yeah, you don't want to lose Garcia's defense over at third base, which is why it becomes complicated with India and where he plays.
Yeah.
I feel that if you want your best defense, though you are losing it a little bit in left field, India being a second baseman, you had MJ out in left last year. And I believe we've talked about this before. I mean, it's not that he was an elite defender out there. He was a below-average defender. So would you rather have below-average defense in left field again, or would you rather have below-average defense in left and below-average defense at third base with Garcia on the bench? But it will be fascinating. I don't know if Vinny's going to play. I believe when he hit in the cages on Monday, they said all went well, and then yesterday he had another chance to do so on the field. If that went well, which I don't know if we've seen any reports yet, I'd imagine he plays tomorrow, but does he play first? Or do you
Right.
DH him?
Yeah, that's
right?
a
You
good
say,
point.
well, you're going to be
Do
fine
we
with
need him to
DH the
stretch
first
out
series.
and dig
Yeah.
in and doing some of those things and doing the splits like he likes to do when he's stretching? Some of those. Yeah. Annie this morning was on A New Day and said that from the batting practice that she saw, Vinny hit a few tanks in batting practice. So she was like, it didn't look like from the swings that I saw that there was any holding back from Vinny swinging. But that might be, okay, well, now Vinny's your DH. Yeah. Okay, well, if Vinny's your DH, then I still want Salvi at first and Fermin's bat in the lineup rather than trying to force. But then it's Melendez or Fermin. Well, I guess no, because who's playing first if Vinny's DH?
That's what I'm
It'd
telling
be
you.
Canna or Biggio in the lineup against a righty, or do you go MJ Melendez over Canna and Biggio? Yeah, you've got some different options there.
Yes.
You just did a real who's on first.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Canna play first.
We don't know if he can.
Walk it. I mean, that's part of his position. But if Vinny plays in DHs, well, then I've got India in left. I've still got Garcia at third. And then my question is, do I want Fermin's bat in the lineup or Canna or Biggio? That's the question. And if I want Fermin's bat in the lineup, Salvi's at first. If I want Biggio or Canna's bat in the lineup, then I've got them at first and Salvi's catching.
This may factor into, I don't know how much stock Brian Sweeney and Zach Bowe will put into it, but it comes down also, too, to who's on the mound, right? Cole Reagans is pitching tomorrow. You can expect a lot of strikeouts. If it was Michael Wacha out there, who does like to get a lot of fly balls, maybe you don't put Jonathan India in left field. Maybe it simply comes down to who's going to be on the mound. If we got our fly ball pitcher out there, we want more ground to cover. However, I'll also say that you got to play him out there more often than not so he can get comfortable, or put him at third base more often than not so he gets comfortable. If we're going India at second, third, left, well, then he's not picking up any of the. I mean, we know he can play second, but where's Massey going to play? You don't want to pigeonhole him to DH because he's not a typical DH. So they've got their answer. They know who's going to be playing there tomorrow. But also, I just feel that it might be pitcher matchup-wise, or what that guy is going to be told to do with the scouting report. This team hits the ball in the air a lot, and if there's a lot of wind, tomorrow, maybe you don't put him out there so he's not struggling and looking like Nori Aoki out there trying to catch him.
Like Jose Altuve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what's good. You know what it's going to be. I was just thinking about this. The lineup tomorrow: Vinny at first, Massey's going to DH, Garcia's going to play second, India's going to play third, and they're going to put Melendez at second. Just to be like, why are you taking Garcia off of third and putting him at a position at second where he struggled last year instead of just putting India at second? What are you doing? That's what it's going to be. So we can already immediately have a complaint about the defense and the lineup.
I'm somewhat with you here, Jack. I think India plays mostly third this year. I've talked about it, and I think I put my Sterling stamp on it, which I'm not doing very good with the Sterling stamp so far. I think India starts opening day at third base. That's where I have him penciled in right now. And by the way, when it comes to Mark Canha or Freddie Fermin, I don't think it's the bat conversation. I think it's the glove. Freddie Fermin, I think when it comes to the bat, him versus Mark Canha, I think they're very similar, very, very similar. I think it's really where Freddie Fermin excels is he's one of the, at least grades out as one of the better defensive catchers in all of baseball. Yeah. If you want to do that and have Vinny at DH, Salvi at first, and Fermin behind the dish, I think your defense improves. I think if you're actually going to have Salvi catch and Mark Canha at first base, again, if Vinny is DHing, I think the bat of Mark Canha is slightly better than Fermin, but I think it's so small, you probably roll with the defense.
Yeah, Vinny's DHing. I'd want Fermin in there and Salvi at first. That'd be my preference.
Your druthers.
That'd be my druthers there. So I don't know. Although Canna's been killing it. He's like, what, 5 for 6? I mean, the guy is just mashing now that he's a Royal. I mean, real line drive singles from Canna when he's been up at the dish. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back and we'll talk pitching. Chris Bubich, what did we see yesterday? And is there reason to start to get excited about what the number 4 starter can do for the Royals in filling in for Brady Singer? That if Bubich does what Singer did last year and you got India for Singer, you've essentially just added India while losing nothing from what your production was as your starting staff last year. We'll talk about that on the other side of the break. More Zone next. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Jack Johnson hanging out with us until noon. We'll talk some NFL football coming up at noon. Mick Schaefer around 12:30, 12:40 or so as we'll get the bracket of sound, eliminating the teams that lost over the weekend. And then at 1 o'clock, we'll go through our Royals ZOUs. So we'll go through that coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. 1:50 today, we will hear from John Sherman out at Kauffman Stadium. And we'll play that for you live right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. So John Sherman, we'll hear from him coming up right around 1:50 today. So a little more than 2 hours from now, we'll hear from John Sherman. Let's talk some pitching staff for the Royals. And the final tune-up, it sort of depends on how good or bad the particular person was as your pitcher getting ready for the season, as if you dismiss it or think it matters. Like Cole Reagan's last start, 4 2/3, 11 hits, 8 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Right? We're getting ready for the regular season. Chris Bubich, 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 8 Ks. It matters. Like what you do in your final tune-up matters because that's right before you take the mound when it counts. Like you're really going to be in regular season mode at that time. So, you really got to worry about those things. And like Seth Lugo, 5 innings, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, and 4 Ks. It doesn't really matter for Seth Lugo and his final tune-up because, you're really just sort of building up your pitch count for the season, right? It only matters when you're on the mound on Saturday. Just sort of depends on what took place. I do think, though, and maybe this is trying to find a silver lining and a way that it benefits the Royals. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But I would guess if we talked with Boddicker or Monty, and if you'd said, who's it more important for that their last few starts building up to starting? Is it a Reagans, a Lugo, a Waka, or Bubich? I'm just guessing. But I would guess they would say, well, Reagans and Lugo and Waka have done it. They've got experience doing it. Lugo did it an entire season last year, pitching as somebody that was, in the Cy Young race. Cole Reagan's obviously in the Cy Young race. Michael Waka's been there, done that for a lot of years. And Chris Bubich had a really awesome start to his 2023 season. And then that was done. And then came back in 2024 pitching out of the bullpen. And now it's back to being a starter where you're going to need to be pitch efficient and not max effort for an inning or two that they were looking at him to do in last year in the bullpen. So maybe I'm trying to thread the needle of it means more as if Chris Bubich, who went to Stanford, so that's a Big Ten school, so that's different. Or no, it's ACC. Sorry.
So it doesn't mean more.
It doesn't mean more for Chris Bubich. It means a whole lot less for Chris Bubich because who cares? Stanford, blah, blah, blah. It's ACC. Everybody wants out of the ACC. Nobody cares. They only got one team in the Sweet 16. They suck. Am I searching there, Jack Sterling, or is my hypothesis closer to being accurate than not if you were to guess as well?
I feel like Chris Bubich needed to have a good start yesterday, mainly because there's a lot of people out there that are still questioning why he moved back to the rotation because he was so successful in the bullpen. And I don't believe the Royals really ever had the intention of putting him back in the bullpen after last year. I believe it was circumstantial, where they didn't have a good back end of the bullpen until Lucas Ursig got there. So when Bubich finally gave you some stability back there, they said, well, it might just be best to leave him there. But at the end of the year, at least when I was down in Surprise, he said that the goal was to get him stretched out in the offseason and that he was going to go out there and start. And, I do feel for some guys, Cole Reagans didn't need a good spring. He didn't have a good spring. Lugo didn't. Waka didn't. Not even Lorenzen being a veteran. But for Chris Bubich, it's not that he needed a really strong spring. It's that I feel the final start needed to have something where you go, all right, I do feel good. I am stretched out. My stuff was working. And the Rangers put their regulars in there yesterday. Yeah. And they left him in there for his entire outing, where the Royals, they were pulling Michael Massey after his second, at bat against Jacob deGrom. And so it is important. It's not everything. He could go next Monday against Milwaukee and get shelled. But there is the upside to it. I truly believe that spin rate can give guys like him the extra edge, where his 92, 93 can feel like 95, 96 with that extra giddy up to it, which you saw some of the late swings with the Rangers yesterday. Yes. I believe it surprised them when that 92, you look up at the gun and it shows 92, 93, and you go, there's no way.
They were behind it.
That was 96, 97. And then he added the bullet slider, as he calls it, which is a little bit like a cutter. That's all going to help him. And I feel the Royals are doing the right thing here, because if it doesn't work out, you've got the safety net that he can pitch out of the bullpen.
I guess for me, the two guys I wanted to see starter-wise at least was Chris Bubic, yes, which happy, and then Michael Lorenzen. Lorenzen's been a little hit and miss in his major league career. I have concerns with injury, obviously, still, and I still feel like there's a lot of innings with the loss of Brady Singer to be made up for. I know Lorenzen came here last year, but he was injured. It was Alec Marsh, and the Royals have more depth in their starting pitching, even in the minors, than they had, I think, in previous seasons. That's great, even when you go back to guys like Noah Cameron. But my concern here is Bubic. How many innings can he throw after being in the bullpen last year? Are we looking at 140? Are we looking at 180? Brady Singer, for all the bleep he got, had a really good year last year. A really good year. I make that trade every single time for Jonathan India. I'm not disagreeing. I love the move. I still have a lot of question marks in Chris Bubic and Michael Lorenzen in that 4-5 spot. And Lorenzen didn't have a great spring. Chris Bubic, I like what we saw that final start, but I'm tempering my expectations on those two guys in particular. I believe in Waka, I believe in Lugo, I believe in Cole Reagans, but 180 innings of what was Brady Singer last year? 3.5 ERA,
I think
3.7.
I think it went to like 3.7 or 3.8
at the very end, because I know he kind of limped. 3.7 ERA. I mean,
the second half was higher than a 3. It evened out to a 3.7. First half was much better. Second half, it was sliding in the wrong direction.
But if you would lock in right now, if you said Bubic could get a 3.7 ERA over 180 innings, you would lock that in. I mean, I guess I still have question marks. I'm not going to glean too much from one 5-inning start.
I'm with you. I think there's question marks. What the best possible scenario would be, or at least maybe breaking even, would be that if he can do close to what Brady Singer did, and you've exchanged Brady Singer with Chris Bubic, put another lefty into your rotation, and you got Jonathan India out of that exchange, well then, hell, that's a fantastic move. And that's a move that teams like the Royals have to make. And both of those guys being first-round draft picks, one of them in the first round, another one sandwich round. What I liked yesterday, and what I do think there is something to take away from, is his 8 strikeouts, came with the starters in there. So, 2 of those, the first strikeout and the last strikeout was Marcus Semien for the Rangers. So that's not a slouch player. But what I loved about what I saw in those at-bats, Semien swinging 0-2. Langford swinging 3-2. Berger looking at a slider 2-2. Smith swinging 3-2. Duran looking 1-2, Taveras swinging 1-2, Duran swinging 1-2, Semien swinging 1-2. Like, that's what? 5 of the 8 strikeouts were on a 1-2 or a no-2 pitch. Only 2 of them did he get to a full count. And certainly the ones that were looking, the 2 strikeouts that were looking, were in the strike zone. But 7 of the 8 final pitches were all in the strike zone. So Semien swung at a strike and missed. Langford swung at a strike and missed. Smith swung at a strike and missed. Taveras swung at a strike and missed. Semien at the end swung at a strike and missed. The only one that wasn't a strike was Duran, and that thing rode. It looked like a strike out of it, and it rode up just above the top of the strike zone, where I'm not sure how many players on a 1-2 pitch are going to lay off that. That's difficult to do. That was what I took away from that, is he was getting swings and misses in the strike zone, that if those guys didn't swing at that pitch, they're still struck out. They had to swing at that pitch, and they didn't contact it. I do think there's a positive from that with Chris Bubic.
It is, and when you go back at each of those strikeouts, a couple of them, if you were a Rangers fan, you're going, how did they miss that? I mean, that's not, even if you're sitting on another pitch, 92, 93, you can still catch up to. Like when we see Cole Reagans blow 98, 99 past somebody, you say, yeah, if you weren't sitting fastball, you're not going to catch up to it. And that goes back to a lot of starters. I almost compare it to Cleveland a little bit, where they'd come in and face the Royals, and they didn't have, electric stuff, where you watched DeGrom yesterday. It's electric stuff. But to have multiple pitches you can go to have good command with those pitches, that'll be the difference for Chris Bubic, is he's got a lot of put-away pitches he can go to, the slider, the sweeper, the bullet slider, the changeup, the fastball when well located, but it all comes down to, with a handful of those strikeouts, are you up 0-2?
Yes.
Are you up 1-2? And for Brady Singer, who we were talking about, you fell behind 0-2. What were the odds you were getting a slider? 90%? Even if it was a throwaway pitch, but for Bubic, man, a couple of times it was 0-2, and they're going slider, changeup, sweeper. One of those is coming, and then it was a fastball high and in. They weren't ready for it, and they were late on it.
Yeah, and of his 8 strikeouts yesterday, 5 came on a fastball for Bubic, 2 of the sliders, and then 1 change. And the changeup was Langford. So the second at bat of the game, Langford, and he was way out in front. Like, he was out in front to where you saw his helmet sort of bobble a little bit, which is always good when you're a pitcher and you have fooled a guy like that thing is dying low and away while he's swinging at a 3-2 pitch. But also, it's not dying low and away and it was in the dirt. If Langford checks and doesn't swing, he's still out. It's still well in the zone, but it was a well-located down and away that was showing middle, and as Langford's swinging on 3-2, he's probably going to come fastball, I'm out in front, and it's dying away, and I miss it, and it's a strikeout. There were some encouraging things from Chris Bubic that he showed in the 5 innings from what he was doing out of the bullpen last year. That's obviously a question, is can he take what he did in the bullpen, as effective as he was, and can he do that over 5 or 6 innings against a team that might have a good lineup? In that particular game yesterday, he did. But against Milwaukee, it's going to be different. It's going to count. Right? It's going to matter. He's now back in the rotation again for this staff. And if he can be a representative number 4 starter, then, yeah, the Royals' rotation looks really good. Because, what they got from Alec Marsh last year and Brady Singer is what you're trying to get from Bubic and Lorenzen. And hoping that what took place with Reagans, Lugo, and Waka would be repeatable. And that's what I love about this Royals team this year, and where my excitement comes in this Royals team this year. How many times have we talked about the Royals in spring training, and we were trying to navigate this labyrinth to see how they could make the playoffs, and there were like 10 or 15 ifs. Well, if this happens, and if that happens, well, if this player does this, well, if they can get this from that player, and if this takes place over there, and if that over there, and it's like, dude, you got more ifs than players on the team. Like, you're toast. You suck. You're not going to be any good. Like, there's a big portion of this team that is just like an expected level of play, an expected level of play, an expected level of play. Like, really, it's if health is a big if for every team. Like, the ifs we were talking about 4 or 5 years ago were ifs that not every team was going through. Not every team that wanted to win a division was going through. If health for the Royals is a big one that every single team starts off with. But there's a given in what you expect from Bobby Witt and from Lugo, Waka, and Reagans. And the back end of the bullpen with the guys that have been there and done that, in Estevez and Harvey, if healthy, but we've already established the if health. And Urseg, what he was able to do. And Zerpa, what he was able to do. Right? There's established players in that spot. And there aren't as many ifs this year for the Royals. One of them could be if you get Bubic and Lorenzen from what you got Singer and Marsh, then you're just shooting par from what you did last year. You get improved performance from that. Well, now you're even better because your bullpen is already expected to be improved performance from what you had. And yes, there's going to be an if on the corner outfield spot too. If Melendez's new swing looks better. If Renfroe losing weight and being in better shape or whatever and feeling healthier can get back to what he was a couple of years ago. If Garcia's toe tap and not, diving at the baseball or crashing at the baseball is going to help him get back to 2023 line drives and the bat staying flat through the zone and not coming out the first month and hitting 4 home runs and saying I put on weight and now I'm trying to hit home runs to go along with my 290 batting average. Well, that didn't happen. The whole thing sunk. It was like when Benintendi went to with the Red Sox. Was like,
Yes.
I'm batting 320. What if I hit home runs? All right, I'm batting 250 and not as many home runs as I thought. Well, that's dumb. Let me get back to being Andrew Benintendi. There are so many fewer ifs with this team, which is where the excitement comes in and why I think they're a team that is picked by analysts to win the division. ESPN put out their MLB predictions of their collective, and they've got the Royals winning the Central.
When you have an MVP player, there's just less holes to fill in your lineup. And that's something the rest of the division, other than Cleveland with Jose Ramirez, they really have. I mean, if Minnesota was healthy, you could say Royce Lewis or Byron Buxton. They're never healthy. Same thing with Carlos Correa. Detroit, their star pieces are on their rotation with Tarek Skubal. Yeah, Riley Green can be a dark horse, and I love Parker Meadows, although I believe Parker Meadows is starting the year on the injured list. Like, for the American League Central, which is where the Royals have to start, it's take care of business there, then you can worry about who you're going up against in October. And they do have the pieces. They had the pieces coming back from last year, and what they did, in my opinion, better than many teams in their own division, they bolstered their bullpen. I mean, I feel it was MLB Network the other day said, maybe it was Fangraphs. I can't quite remember. Two polar opposites there. But that the back end of the bullpen is a contending team's bullpen. And I know you have the if with Harvey in health. And right now, Carlos Estevez is still sitting mid-90s, which I feel like he's building back up to this point. But if those guys perform as they've done their entire career, that is a legitimate back end of the bullpen. Whereas last year, the Royals won 86 games with a very mediocre to below average bullpen. That can change everything for this group, even if the offense doesn't take off far more than they did last year.
Yeah, and of the we'll take a break, but of the ESPN predictions, the 28 votes that they had for their analysts, experts voting on who's going to win each division, the Central was the closest. It was only a difference of 1 vote. Royals got 12, Tigers got 11, Twins got 4, Guardians got 1. Every other division had the American League East had a 3 difference between the Red Sox and the Orioles. But every other division was like 8, 9, 10 difference, or 28, Dodgers. 28 for 28, the Dodgers. But the Royals, the closest. You got 12 and 11, and you've got multiple teams that are getting votes there, except for the White Sox not getting any votes. So, I mean, where's David Carr to vote for Derek Carr MVP? Where's Big Hurt? Where's Frank Thomas to vote for the White Sox to
doing commercials?
Yeah, that's right. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. More's on next. All right, wrap things up in this 11 o'clock hour. Coming up an hour from now, we will do our ZOUs. Mick Schaefer's going to join us in the next hour. He'll be here, I don't know, about 12:30, 12:40 or so because of, I think, is he showing up because we're doing bracket of sound elimination, or is he showing up because Meat Mitch is bringing in food today?
Oh.
Let's be honest. Why do you think Mick Schaefer, do we think Mick Schaefer is getting here early to hang out for the bracket of sound or to eat Meat Mitch barbecue?
Or do we think this? He's good. What are the odds he claims this as one of his ZOU losses, or was it the Tahoe?
What's
loss?
Dylan? Dylan can claim this.
Dylan,
one.
you're gonna claim this
Dylan's
one?
like, got it, got it, fellas. I'm gonna bring in Meat Mitch today. In fact, I am so confident about this. I'm gonna have Mitch actually bring it in. This is great stuff. We'll talk some NFL football, some Chiefs football next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels heading up until 2 o'clock. NFL rules changes and competition committee proposals going on in the NFL. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. There is one that I would really like to see take place on the defensive side, if it comes to that. But let's talk some Chiefs football. We didn't get a chance to hear from Jalen Moore and Gardner Minshew, newer players to the team. Jalen Moore, more influential. He needs to be a more impactful player, obviously, than Gardner Minshew. But Gardner Minshew is fun to listen to, so I do want to play some clips from Gardner Minshew. But let's play the Jalen Moore one first. He was asked, this is it's a Q&A. There's answers and then some questions from different media members in there. It's about 2 minutes. He's not incredibly long-winded in his answers. Gardner Minshew was a little more elaborate in his answers. But here's Jalen Moore talking about the teams that were interested in him playing for Andy Reid, working with Patrick Mahomes as a left tackle, and then sort of his expectations as a player and what he brings to the table.
I mean, it happened pretty fast, so I'm not really sure all the teams that were involved. But, I mean, right after we got the deal done, I was stoked. And, I mean, it was great conversations between, me and the coaching staff, so it was all great.
What have the subsequent conversations been like with Patrick Mahomes and Andy and just some teammates that you've chatted with already?
I mean, it was a lot of support, just making sure that I got everything down that I need so far, and just being there for me, being available, making sure that I know that they're available for me if I need them. Yeah, I mean, awesome being able to sit down and talk with Coach Reid, so everything was great.
What kind of opportunity did you see with the Chiefs in signing with them?
Probably having a chance to play some football. But outside of that, I mean, it's a great organization. I know it's a great team. Everything that I've heard from the outside, having new teammates that came from the organization, I know it's top tier. So I'm excited.
What tells you you're ready to be a full-time starter if that's how this turns out?
I mean, in my opinion, the tape doesn't lie. I know it's a small sample size, but I mean, I just go out there and play ball the way I know how, and I don't know. They see something in me, so I'm, excited to go balls to the wall for these guys. So.
You said it's a limited sample size, but how much of these past 4 years working under Trent Williams do you think allows you to be ready for this opportunity to be a starter?
I mean, it was everything I could have imagined. I mean, you kind of sit in the film room every day, and to me, I kind of set a standard for myself, and with that being a standard every day, in and out, it's kind of hard for, I don't know, the floor to be very low, I would say. Not saying that it's hard for anybody else to be able to do that, but just being put in that position and being able to study behind him and kind of critique my game based on what I see every single day, it made all the difference in the world.
That last part I thought was interesting, in working with Trent Williams, that seeing how he works, seeing how he studies and goes about his business, it keeps the floor from being low with him. So a level of expectation of this is how you got to go and play. That, yeah, there are guys that might have a really high ceiling, but the first thing you got to do, and I would say for the Chiefs, obviously, first thing you got to do is raise the floor. And you just can't have awful reps, terrible reps. The play is blown up immediately. The guy just gets beat. And that's one of the things that jumped off the film, or jumped out at you from the film. And, watching the actual real film, not watching anything on your iPad or anything like that. That's weird. You got to break the film down. But watching some of the things on NFL Pro and NFL Plus, there wasn't an immediate loss Like, even if he lost a rep, it was like he was fighting and battling there.
Well, it's one of those situations where you give him the benefit for being in the same room as Trent Williams, as we're alluding to. It's the same thing we do here in Kansas City when someone's in the same room as Travis Kelce or Patrick Mahomes, right? Trent Williams is the Travis Kelce. He's the Patrick Mahomes of left tackle. And if we're going to give benefits to guys like Noah Gray and Jared Wiley and a lot of times some other quarterbacks that are in there with Patrick.
Xavier Worthy talked about DeAndre Hopkins, what he did for him late last year.
So then you're giving Jalen Moore the benefit of the doubt for getting the same thing from the best left tackle in football, who has been the best left tackle in football for 12 years, whatever it has been in Trent Williams. So I like that aspect of it, and you're right. The floor is what the Chiefs need at left tackle. They need that solid floor.
And it sounds like, it was kind of a whirlwind when, as he said, was asked which teams were involved. He's, I don't know. Everything happened so fast because, again, 11 o'clock it opened, 11:05 there was news that they had agreed to terms, and that's why people were like, well, there's tampering. Come on, man. You have the deal sort of in place there. And I think I think it matters when we're getting information and we find out the details of the contract that come out later on that day.
Yeah.
Where like an hour or two later, we're hearing deals and there are more details to those contracts. Because I think the Chiefs probably called up Jalen Moore first, knowing what Dan Moore was looking for.
Yeah.
Called up Jalen Moore's agent and said, this is what we're willing to offer. Do you agree to the parameters of this deal? We can work out the particulars and all of the little crossing T's, dotting I's and everything. But if not, we're moving on to somebody else. We got to get this done to be a left tackle. And his agent probably was like, yes, we'll take it. Let's do it. Jalen, you're a Chief. Awesome, man. I have no idea what other teams were involved, but I'm excited for it. And when we got the contract done, then I got to talk to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and talk to the Chiefs there.
I've always wondered that with some of the players where, again, if you are a superstar, you obviously are going to be kept in the loop with your agent, all that stuff. But how much of it is the agent says, hey, Jalen, you're going to be a Chief? Like, they don't give you options where it's just, if the player, I don't know how much beforehand the player goes, I don't care where I play, you give me the most money. Or if the player's like, hey, let me know beforehand so I can see where we're going. Because
what's the best contract with this team? I want to go to this team, and whatever's the best contract I can get there.
It's a very fast-moving process, right? I mean, you're seeing, again, I know there's obviously in touch beforehand, but a lot of times 5 minutes, 7 minutes right after the deadline, the legal tampering period opens. But I'm sure it is because teams want to know what they have. They want to know right then and there. So I do wonder how much players give their agent a list of, here are 5 teams. These 5 teams, you give me the best contract.
Here are the teams that need a left tackle, Jalen.
Yes.
Here are the teams that are going to be looking for a left tackle in the open market now that Ronnie Stanley has been signed.
Yes.
All right? So you're looking at the Titans, the Patriots, the Chiefs, the da-da-da. Are you interested in these? And do you trust me in that, what I think the value is, and we can get this done? And if something comes up, we're moving on it.
So I do believe him, I guess, in regards to I didn't know who was bidding for me, who was interested, because he might have said, hey, agent, you find me the deal on a winner, or you find me the best deal. There could be a multitude of ways. I just always find that so fascinating. Of you have to have so much trust in your agent, and it's why I do think at times you look back, in years, and you see players who have been bamboozled or taken advantage of by certain agents, because you have to have that trust factor. Because again, these players, as we heard from Jalen Moore, they might not always know who's even bidding on their services.
Who was talking to you? I don't know. It happened so fast.
Veach handles that. 5
minutes later, after the window opened up, there was talks of the Chiefs have agreed to bring in Jalen Moore. It's like, well, tampering. It's like, I think there's a pretty decent chance that the Chiefs called the agent, said, here's the deal, or move it on.
Yes.
We need an answer because we got to talk to Dan Moore. We got to talk to some of these other guys. We need a left tackle, and you're our first call.
Yeah.
We believe in him. And the agent might have been like, texting Jalen, Chiefs, ? Yes. All right, done. Brett, we're good.
Yeah.
Let's send over the details, and we'll get back to you, but we're good. 3 years, $45 million, or 2 years, $30 million. Sorry, 3 years, 45 was Bolton. 2 years, $30 million, and we'll get the particular 20-something guaranteed. We're good with that, too. We'll get all of those things, how it's going to be structured with cash and all of that. We're good. Let's do it. Great. And then people find out, and then the agent goes to Rossini or whoever, Jalen Moore, Chiefs, 2 years, $30 million.
Sure.
And 11:05, the news gets out.
Well, it is.
Because it was given by the agents as they were deal negotiated by Sterling Holmes of CAA. Deal negotiated by Dylan Michaels of Athletics R Us.
Is that kind of a new phenomenon now where the agents are getting their names tagged in all this stuff, which I get why, though. Because
you want me to send you the information? Put my name out there.
Which is it's smart for the agents because it used to just be basically Drew Rosenhaus and that's who we know.
What the Katz brothers tweet?
Brothers.
I can't remember who signed or something, but it was like per the Katz brothers, and then at the end it even had sources Katz brothers at the end of it. It's like, I wonder who gave you this information.
It's interesting, weird. We'll see what Jalen Moore is going to do. He said, one of the things that he was excited about is having a chance to play. And a chance to play doesn't necessarily mean that, hey, I got a chance to play as a starter. I got a chance to play here. The path is clear for me to be the starting left tackle.
Yeah.
Now it's on him to go and take that job. Because if they get him in and they're at camp and he sucks, there might be a phone call then to Donovan Smith or DJ Humphries, depending on who they are with. So it's Jalen Moore. You've got the right of first refusal. You've got the opening. You've got the right of way to go and take the left tackle job. If not, then we may have to bring somebody in. But you do have a chance to play and be the starter at left tackle. Gardner Minshew, if he plays this year, hopefully it's only week 18. He was asked about and, a back and forth with some of the reporters there. Let's play clip number 3 here with Gardner Minshew and just the opportunity he has now as being a Kansas City Chief.
I'm super fired up to be part of just a winning organization, winning culture. I feel like I have so much to learn. From how Coach Reed and everybody operates, how Pat operates. And I'm just looking forward to help in any way I can. If there's any way I can help this team, whether it's on the scout team, whether it's helping Pat meetings, whether it's just bringing good energy to practice, I look forward to just doing whatever I can to contribute and help this team win.
Okay. And you remember your first NFL game was against the Chiefs that day when it was like 200 degrees down there in Jacksonville. What do you remember about that day?
Dude, I don't remember much, dude. It was a blur. I remember going into the game, not expecting to play, just happy to be on the team. Unfortunately, Nick got hurt like 12 plays in, and we went in. I remember me and my dad sitting down for dinner after. We were like, what the heck just happened? It was unbelievable, man. But, that was an unbelievable experience. And, man, it's been super gratifying and super fortunate to have all the experience I've had in the NFL.
And you've played in some similar offenses to Andy Reid's offense in the past. How do you feel like that transition is going to be, and how do you feel like your game fits into Andy Reid's style?
Yeah, that was another big reason I chose to come to Kansas City, man. I've always been a huge fan of Coach Reid's offenses. I've always felt that was something I could do well in. I feel like Pat, came up playing in the air raid. It was something I did in college as well. And I feel like those that kind of play style of just understanding and feeling space, understanding leverage and numbers, I think that really serves you well in the system.
You've been able to be in a couple schemes during your time here in the NFL. How have those stops helped push you into the quarterback you are now?
Yeah, no, I think everybody has a little bit different perspective of things. I mean, most of the plays, nobody's running I guess Kansas City is kind of running crazy plays that you don't really see everywhere. But for the most part, everybody's running basically the same things. But they'll have different, reasons for why they do it, or they'll have just different coaching points. So I feel like I've been very fortunate to have a lot of different perspectives and different teaching styles. And I couldn't be more excited to be stepping into this one and to learn it through their lens of Coach Reed, Coach Nagy, Pat, and just to see how they see it as well.
I think Sterling's going to really enjoy when Gardner Minshew talks. Probably not very often except during training camp and maybe, the preseason games, because how often do you get the backup quarterback throughout the regular season?
I hope every single day.
I hope we never hear from Gardner Minshew during the regular season, only week 18. But I think Sterling will really enjoy hearing Gardner talk. Oh, man, I don't even remember that game. I was talking to my dad. I was like, what just happened, man? It was crazy stuff, man. It is awesome.
I love Dylan in the background during that goes, did anyone order a pizza? Spicoli. Do you think he is wearing checkered Vans to every single...
Dude, the Chiefs have to have somebody with the last name of Hamilton on their team so that when they run off the field, Gardner Minshew can go, all right, Hamilton. Just one time, man. Just you have to get somebody named Hamilton, if for nothing else, that, even if it's a training camp. I mean, it's now a requirement. All right, Hamilton.
Didn't the Chiefs have a Hamilton a couple of years ago on special teams?
30, number 30. I remember it.
Yeah.
I just cannot place the first name. I want to say it was Antonio.
I think Antonio. Let me look up Antonio.
Was he a Giant? Was he
Yes.
like a New York Giant?
Yeah. Was it
Antonio
Anthony?
Hamilton, Anthony Hamilton, Antonio Hamilton.
Let me see.
Ant.
Anthony Hamilton is an American singer-songwriter, so no, not him.
Yeah.
Antonio.
Could have been Antonio Hamilton.
Antonio, if I could spell. Football cornerback.
Should just put Hamilton.
Last
Chiefs.
played for the Falcons. I did, but multiple things showed up, and it was not the
It's him.
correct. It was.
You got
It was him. Antonio.
Great.
We got there. Hey,
Did we
I
get
love
there?
the
Because I
fact
feel
that-
like Dylan arrived a minute and a half ago.
Who said Hamilton? Well, he did. Okay, the last horse finally finished the race. Okay, I said Hamilton a few years ago for the Chiefs. Played special teams. I was there. I gave him the groundwork.
That's awesome.
And then Dylan was the smart guy
That
who's a
remembered it.
football historian
Savant.
and knew.
All right, Hamilton. Gardner Minshew was asked about what is your role? So, as, being a backup quarterback, obviously you know what a starter is, but what's your role as a backup quarterback?
Being a starting quarterback in the NFL is a hard deal, and especially with all the expectation, with everything that gets put on, especially a guy like that. Sometimes it's having a safe place in the quarterback room where you can come and let off some steam, or just have a good laugh. Like that little stuff is very important. Getting through weeks, getting through years. But I don't know, man. I look forward to just being able to work with him, helping any way I can, whether it's on the practice field, in the meeting room, getting ready for game days. If there's film preparation I can help with, or even, like I said, providing a good laugh here or there. Like, I just couldn't be more grateful for the role, and just want to help in any way I really can.
You mentioned before about Andy. I just wonder, from your perspective, what's it like when Andy Reid is part of the recruitment process, and you get to talk to him about, your style of play and obviously what he thinks you can do for the team?
Yeah, man, that's obviously a huge draw, man. From the end of our season, when it seemed like I was gonna get cut, I knew in my head that this is where I wanted to be. I took a pre-draft visit with the Chiefs, like back in the day coming into the league, and I feel like everything went really well. And just talking to Coach Reid and understanding like what they're all about, I always knew that that'd be a really good fit. And to get on the phone with Coach Reid and get to hear like what they're talking about, and also to hear, how he sees me fitting, and like how, he values my personality and how what I bring to the table, man. Like that could, that just fires me up so much, to be somewhere that you feel appreciated and valued, and obviously by somebody you respect so much and has had so much success doing it.
Yeah, man. I just play with Coach Reid, dude. It's great.
I love that he just talks about how Andy Reid values his
Yes.
vibes, basically, is what he's saying.
And that's what he's
a
talking
vibe
about.
guy.
As a backup quarterback, he's like, I don't know, sometimes it's, sometimes just bring a laugh, to get through a week, years, the grind of the NFL season. Sometimes just whatever is needed in the quarterback room, just do that, be that guy, vibes guy, which is what he is. And he was on that Eagles team that the Chiefs beat in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. So he certainly knows about the organization for the Chiefs. Last question that he had, and I left the question in here because there's a lot of things that I feel like are similar with Gardner Minshew and Sterling. Like there just feels like a similarity there with Gardner and Sterling. And here's the last question to Gardner Minshew, and I left the question in there so you guys can hear the whole thing. Here you go.
You're known for having, I guess, a zest for life, you might say. Anything you looking forward to in Kansas City, or anything you want to do while you're here off the field?
Man, honestly, I'd love to learn about some cattle farming if I have a chance. I know that's probably got a lot of that going on. That's something I'd like to do, down the road. I'm always a big fan of, some labor like that. So if there's a chance to do something like that, be a great opportunity to learn. But I got plenty of football to learn, plenty of plenty of stuff in the building to get better at, and I think that's going to take up a lot of my time. And I'm just so fired up for it.
Just love that it's like, you're in Kansas City. What do you want to? Anything you're looking forward to do? I want to learn how to cattle ranch in Kansas City. That's what I want to do around here. I thought there were a lot of things that Sterling and Gardner Minshew had in common until I hear him say, "No, I like that work. I like to work like that." So I'd want to learn. Then I'm like, okay, he's nothing like Sterling. Then if you want to work like with cattle and cattle ranch and farming,
that.
like they're different. Then they're just he's not like us. You know, that's what Kendrick would say between Gardner and Sterling.
Did you know that his grandfather originally wanted Minshew to be named Beowulf?
Yeah, I remember this story about Beowulf.
The story
Gardner
of
Beowulf would be
Gardner is just
would be awesome. But what you've got a zest for life. What would you like to do around Kansas City while you're here? I want to learn how to cattle ranch, cattle farm. That's what I want to learn how to do. That's not what I thought. I want to enjoy the barbecue. Mick Schaefer would say, I want to go out and look at all the fountains around town, because Mick Schaefer is a huge fan of Kansas City being the city of fountains. Loves it. I want to go watch
the Plains.
Right. I want to go watch the Royals play. I want to go check out sporting. I want to see the Current in action. Like, I want to go do some of those things around town. I want to see what it's like to own a cattle ranch.
Good for him.
I figure there's a lot of that going on around here. Yeah.
You know what,
Kansas City, Missouri, and Montana, roughly the same.
Minshew, if you're listening, 1, we're going to golf together. 2, we're going to grow stashes together. 3, I can take you to a cattle farm. I know one. I'll get you some bison too. We can ride the buffalo.
I thought you were just going to eat the bison together.
Well,
like,
they're very healthy. Very healthy. We
very
probably
lean.
can, but I don't want. We probably won't ride the buffalo necessarily because, multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
But I'll show you buffalo and the babies. Very cute.
Good.
Very cute.
Okay.
Gardner, that's an open invitation.
There you go. Gardner Flint Minshew.
The second.
Yeah, that's right. He is the Gardner Minshew the second. So, got to put that one in there because they didn't sign his dad. Okay. You say Mr. Minshew, I turn around and look at my father. Okay. I have no idea who you're talking about, man. As we take a break, one of the rules proposals, or at least that was presented by the Detroit Lions, was on the defense and illegal formation, or excuse me, not illegal formation, but illegal contact and defensive holding not being automatic first downs. I want to talk about that on the other side of the break. Mick Schaefer will hang out with us. We're going to enjoy some Meet Mitch here in a little bit. And we got some teams to eliminate in Bracket of Sound. 1 o'clock, we got the zone over-unders for the Royals. We like to call them ZOUs around here. More zone coming up next. happy and sad at the same time, but also sort of like happy, sad. Happy that Meat Mitch is here, that they dropped off some food. Heck yeah. Sad that right now we're on the air and we're going to be talking and I'll get to enjoy it once we go to break. That's the sad part. Happy part, though, is that typically when food gets here, I have to then do an interview and Sterling goes, well, have fun. I'm going to go eat. So I'm kind of happy that Sterling's got to do what I typically do, and that is stare at the food while we're talking sports and just smell it, the aroma filling the nose.
He thinks I won't eat right now. You think I won't do this?
I actually do think you will. Yeah, no, I just, I bet you
It's
won't.
on the fork.
Oh, I bet you won't. I bet you won't do it. I bet you won't. I hope you won't. I bet you won't. But he's eating on the air. Can somebody call the FCC, please?
Oh, baby.
No, that's
doing something else on the air, too.
Yep, that's not what we're going to go with.
Dude.
But I will tell you this. You need to go with Meet Mitch, as they got the Mitch Madness going on at Meet Mitch. Happy hour for anyone that shows up in their team's gear throughout March Madness, even if your team didn't make the tournament, Mick.
So I can show up. Well, my team made a tournament.
Oh, there you go. How about that?
NIT.
That's fine, the knit.
And they were playing last night. I never checked.
They played in the knit. You know what? I didn't pay attention to the knit. You know what I did watch? Washburn and Lenore Ryan. I watched that game, but the knit was going on. No clue. Is the CBI still taking place?
They lost to North Texas. Maybe.
Oklahoma State did because Washburn won. They in the Final Four playing.
Is that how you say it, Lenore Ryan? Because I was like Googling it.
Yeah, Lenore Ryan.
Lenoir or Lenore.
Yeah. More like a loss Ryan to the MIAA.
Leanne Rhymes, actually.
Yeah.
Leanne Rhymes.
Lost the championship to Northwest in 2013 in football, and now lost in the Elite Eight to Washburn. Good job, Lenore Ryan. Maybe get a little bit better. Maybe improve if you want to be on the MIAA's level.
You know who won, though?
Who won?
Us, because of Meat Mitch.
Yes, that is absolutely right.
Dude, these burn-ins are insane.
They're great. The rib bites that I had no idea what a rib bite was
over here?
Until Meat Mitch came in 6 months ago or so.
Toss me one.
And now can't get enough of the rib bites. I didn't think you just deep fry some ribs. Yeah, I like ribs. I like yes, all of it. And with baseball back, dude, people are going to be tailgating tomorrow. Just place your order online. Go pick it up on the way to the game, man. Take some Meat Mitch with you. Awesome, man.
They serve orders of one rib.
I just want one rib.
One rib?
Boy, I sure am
pour
hungry.
it in my hands. Dude.
How about you pour it in my hands for a dime? Boy, I sure am hungry. You got change for 100. Was that Chris Rock's debut?
I think so.
This is his first one?
I think so.
I'm gonna get you, sucker.
Great movie.
Yes. How did he go to the bathroom? Juma, how did he go to the bathroom? But yeah, Meet Mitch. We got Mitch Madness going on at Meet Mitch. So you can check out Meet Mitch Leewood award-winning barbecue, outstanding atmosphere, and where you can watch all your favorite sports. Tomorrow, baseball, and then on into the NCAA tournament with the round of 16 that starts off with could be the most entertaining game with BYU Alabama. First game out of the gates tomorrow. You want to get some dinner, enjoy, maybe go to the game with the Royals, tailgate before, Royals after, go watch some basketball. Meet Mitch, the spot for you. Great stuff. Mitch Madness. Wear your team's gear. You get the happy hour there with Meet Mitch, which is the Pastrami Wednesdays. They got the Thirsty Thursdays there. So, yeah, happy hour, baby.
Your bracket's busted. My belt's going to be busted.
That's
because I am crushing this food. This is a large platter. They don't skimp over there at Meat Mitch.
No, I'm ready to skimp on this segment so we can eat some. You know what I mean? That's what I'm ready to do.
You're in charge, dude. Sorry.
I can go to break whenever I want?
Whenever you want.
Yeah, but I only go to break when Dylan tells me to.
Dylan,
it's the only time
Dylan, don't tell him to go to break. That's when
Dylan.
It's like the line at the
folks.
SNL 50-year celebration. They're like, we wanted Bill Murray here, so we didn't invite him.
We didn't. That's great. I'm always so proud of myself when I throw it to break and Dylan isn't expecting it. I'm like, yeah, I did it.
I love it in the
I'm responsible today.
First hour, Dylan's like, break. He says it a second time later on, break, and then eventually I just love when he's just defeated back there and he goes,
"Oh man, we've had that. A couple
gotta
times.
break, guys."
I've had a couple times. I feel bad about it.
When you hear the "gotta break, guys" in the exasperated voice of Dylan, that's when you know he's actually.
But I
we
love
got
it.
him.
Like when every once in a while I'm just like, I broke and he wasn't ready for it. I was proud of myself. I was responsible. Like I didn't have the full gallon of ice cream at midnight. Like I was very proud of myself. I did what the responsible person should do. I did it.
There's an in-between.
Once a week.
In there. Somewhere an in-between in there
again.
where, you throw it when I ask versus when I'm watching. And, somewhere there's an in-between.
I get it, Jason. You don't care about anybody but yourself when it comes to the show. Like, don't worry about me doing work back here and planning all these breaks out and everything and timing it all out. Don't worry about that. You just shoot the breeze with Mick and Sterling talking about something that you probably
Already
could
talked
talk about
about?
next.
Yeah.
Or talked about yesterday. I'm not really sure.
Or 5 minutes ago.
Well, yeah, that's probably true.
Something
too.
that definitely wasn't planned to be talked about.
No, absolutely. It's all on the format right here. Everything we talk about, it's on the format.
It's
there.
amazing. You have a 4-hour show, and the format is like 3/4 of a page. High-level planning.
You know what the format was for when I started in radio doing a 1-hour show? It was like 7 pages.
I bet it was, yeah.
Like reading verbatim. Welcome into the show. Pause for dramatic effect.
And to kill time.
And to kill time. Because, good God, this is an hour, and I don't know what to say.
How do I do this?
How do I do this? It's always like, all right, I just let it all out there. What do you guys think, huh? Great. It's 5 minutes. You got a few breaks coming up, so you got roughly 47 more minutes to go. Go get them. What? I'd let you know what was on my mind there.
Now you're the opposite. You're like, wait, 4 hours already? We're done?
I've got so many other of my bullet points here.
I
only get to 2.
279th bullet point.
I got to 2 of these bullet points. You had 5 of them total for the show. I know I only got to 2. Oh, my goodness. And that's what I'm hoping to do is get to at least 2 of these ribs from Meet Mitch. Again, it is Mitch Madness at Meet Mitch. Meet Mitch. Mitch Madness. You're darn right. You wear your...
Put
Hey,
my name
Curtis.
in there.
Curtis, we got some Meet Mitch in here.
And Mick.
Nope.
Meet Mick and Meet Mitch.
Yep, we got some Meet Mitch in here,
Meet Mitch
Curtis.
Mick.
Curtis, don't you... Curtis's jaw is on the floor. That's like he actually hit the. It's like a cartoon. The jaw hit the floor. That
there was
crazy.
drool. I saw drool.
Well, that happens. Here's what we're gonna do, because we don't have time to play the 16 clips in this segment.
Mm-hmm.
So what we'll do is we'll come back. We'll get as many of the 16 losers in the bracket of sound in the next segment. We'll wrap up in the 1 o'clock hour with the sound we didn't get to play in the next segment. And then we'll get to our ZOUs as well. But also just wanted to point out the defensive penalties. I do think it's a good idea that if illegal contact and defensive holding
If it's a 5-yard penalty
isn't an
and you have
automatic
10
first
yards
down.
to go, then it should be 1st and 5.
Holding isn't an automatic third down.
I know,
You know what I
right?
mean? Like offense. Holding offense 10 yards, automatic third down. You never hear that, but it could be 3rd and 20, illegal contact, automatic first down. No, it's a 5-yard penalty.
How about a 5-yard penalty for offensive holding as well, and you call it more often?
Ooh.
Because they don't want to call it because they know it's a drive killer, especially in the NFL.
Right.
So if they're teetering, if they're in a gray area, that could go either way. They're going to keep the flag in their pocket.
How many penalties does Juwan end up with in?
A lot more. Double it.
Double it, so it's the same amount of yards, though.
But it won't kill as many drives,
It doesn't
hopefully.
kill the drive as much. Yeah, I've just... offsides on the defense is not an automatic first down. It's a 5-yard penalty.
5 yards.
You know, it's a free play, right?
How
But
about this? There's 2 penalties in the defense, 1 on the offense.
Oh.
How about it's like a game of bags, right?
Exactly.
2 to 1. Okay, it's 1.
We're
then.
playing bocce here, all right? We're going to add them all up and figure out how many yards worth of positive or
Yes.
negative for this offense or
A
defense.
15-yarder and a 10-yarder on the defense.
100%.
And a 10-yarder on the offense. It's 15 yards that
Yep.
way because that's the difference.
If
between
there's an illegal formation and a pass interference, if that pass interference is 40 yards down the field and the illegal formation is 5, it's a 35-yard penalty. Sorry, you just take for the pass interference spot foul, back it up 5, and we're moving on.
We've solved football.
All of it. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We will solve the teams that have been eliminated. Play the sound there. We got zone over-unders, the ZOUs for the Royals. They start tomorrow. We do that in the 1 o'clock hour. John Sherman comes up at 1:50 right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And Meet Mitch is where the spot is for you to watch basketball and baseball. And it's the spot for us right now.
Tell them this is my favorite team. You got to lie about it.
Right, but I'm wearing this because I don't care if I'm going to get barbecue sauce all over it. Because
It's a great call.
I don't care about
Wear
this
your
thing at
least
all.
favorite team because everybody has gear from their least favorite team,
Yeah.
right?
Well, Mick gave me it, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma
Yeah.
State.
Yeah.
That's nobody's least favorite team. They're harmless.
I'm just going to wear my Oklahoma State singlet. I'm really excited about. I get it's a happy hour for me. I'll tell you that much. Well, you look really happy there, buddy.
In fairness, I do have a Raiders shirt because a Raiders guy I know, you know,
cool.
he covers them, sent me a Raiders shirt for like the podcast he does.
Cool.
And what do I do with it? Do I throw it away? Then I feel like an ass. I'm like,
you know now.
I'm
Good,
like, I'm like, you sent me this shirt.
Get Gardner Minshew to sign it for you.
If your dog ever like throws up on the carpet or
Done.
something, you
That's
can
exactly
to
right.
clean it.
Good call.
Yeah.
I just never know what to do because you feel bad. Like, what do I don't want to throw it away. He's sent this from
And
Vegas
they
to me.
can. Good call. All right.
you
Speaking of which,
Run out of TP.
there you go. That makes sense too, because they've played like that for a while. The Yes They Can region in the South on your bracket, top left. The Creighton Blue Jays lost to Auburn, and that means Creighton is out. We lost this sound.
We are thrilled to welcome in a six-time first team.
Yes,
All
sir.
NFL selection. A
Six
Super Bowl
times?
champion. Six times.
Six times.
Future gold jacket wearer. He got a podcast that apparently is doing fairly well. And all that said, Jason Kelsey is wearing a shirt he got at the mall because he left his travel
Yeah, it look
bag in
good
the
in
truck.
it, too.
Left the bag in the truck.
My fits my belly now. I've lost a little bit of weight, but my tits are still.
Hey, the fact that a Hall of Fame center can shop at Lululemon, that's big, man. That's a big accomplishment.
There you go.
The seventh word he said on the show.
Yes.
T-word.
Yep. First the
Can you say it
debut.
on radio?
I don't know. That's why I,
I don't
said
know.
the
He
T-word.
said it, so we'll just leave it out there.
Okay.
That's fine. All right. Texas A&M fell to Michigan, and with Texas A&M out, that means we lost this sound.
Especially thinking of how the media is in Kansas City. Todd Lebo going to get to the bottom of it.
There you go. It's a very famous sound
Who
now.
said that?
We had a caller that said, talking about trying to get some answers in there for from the players.
Thinking of how the media is in Kansas City. Todd Lebo going to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, he is.
Lebo ain't afraid to ask the questions, and that is now part of the intro for Todd Lebo when we have him on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. Todd Lebo going to get to the bottom of this, and that's true. So we lost that sound with A&M losing. Ole Miss knocked off Iowa State, and Iowa State, the Cyclones, they lose, and that means that this sound is gone. Or a feel of, okay, this guy's starting inside. I can feel that behind me. I'm not going to do it. I'm not even going to take your thing. That was your thing. That was your thing. I'm not going to mess with your thing. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's a nice little surprise. I knew it was there. I just didn't think it was that thick. That is a lot, though. I did try to get as much in as I could in 2 minutes.
If you're the Royals, you just, a little hawk to a spin on that thing and just move right on.
And all he did was touch it in a different spot. I'm
It
about to
was
grab
the Gene
between your
Simmons-
legs and tell you to cough. I don't care if you're wearing shoes or not. There you go. Iowa State is out. They lost a 3 seed. That was a good 3 seed.
And
but
you
they are
don't
done.
care if they wore shoes or not.
Don't care. Doesn't
Didn't
matter.
You sound a lot like Sterling. Sterling is rubbing off on you.
That's already a transfer portal right there. That's going to end up, that sound will end up on a team in the bracket next year. That's already in the transfer portal. All right, Michigan State knocked off New Mexico, and that means with New Mexico out, we lose this sound.
Was it just a matter of command, location, selection, anything specific?
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck. So, we're going to try and rectify that. But for right now, I'm going to be pretty pissed about it.
Pete, where do you kind of go from here? Is it looking at tape? Is it going through mechanics? Where do you kind of go from here?
You tell me. I've tried that. If you got an answer, I'd love to hear it. Just, not going to let it beat me up for, I'll maybe give it till 10. It's 9:44 right now. We'll give it 16 minutes of sulk, and then we'll, get back on the bump and figure it out.
So there you go. Pete Fairbanks had a rough outing. That wasn't specific suck. It was just a general all-around suck.
Encompassing suck.
It's an
I'm going
all-encompassing
to rectify
suck.
that.
That's right. I'm going to give it 16 more minutes of sulk, and then I'm going to move on. We will see how many of these clips we can get in before the top of the hour in the Chiefs get all the calls region. We may not be able to play Oregon's loss, but I think we might be able to play the other ones in this segment. Baylor lost to the Dukies. Baylor is out. They are eliminated, and that means we lost this sound.
Hey man, what I'm mostly excited to eat today, man, it's gonna be that coon. Man, my cousin and they called me last night and told me they killed the coon 2 days ago. They took the clothes off and everything, washed them up. Yeah, we about to dive into that today, man.
Come on, man. Shout out to you, man. Happy Thanksgiving, brother.
Happy Thanksgiving, Doc.
Killed a coon, took the clothes off, everything, washed the thing up. God, Xavier Legette, man. I would not have been mad if the Chiefs drafted Xavier Legette for this team just for those interviews alone.
Sometimes you don't know if he could be saying something bad in there. You have no idea.
But he says it with a smile.
Dude, yes. Xavier Legette. Baylor is gone. Let's skip down to Wisconsin. Number 3 seed Wisconsin ends up losing to BYU, and that means we lost this sound from Wisconsin.
Will Lutz backs up, takes 2 steps to the side, says he's ready. An attempt of 35 yards for the win. Snap, placement, kick on the way. It is blocked. I don't even know what to say. 35-yard field goal.
I know what I was saying.
With 1 second to go, and Kansas City is going to get out of here with a 16-14 win over the Broncos.
Hearts broken in Broncos country, no doubt.
35-yard field goal Lutz. Fraboni the snap, Riley the hold, Lutz the kick to win it.
I love the double thud.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have won! The Chiefs have won!
And the oddity of the selection committee randomly putting that with Wisconsin, and Leo Chanel blocked the kick from Wisconsin.
Wow.
So
also, Kevin Harlan is just insane.
Just and the fact that he pauses where there's and you hear the thump thump, the double thump there. All right, St. Mary's lost to Alabama. That means we lost St. Mary's and we lost this sound in the bracket of sound.
As the great Frank Gantz once said back when he pretended he had been in the military, courage is not the absence of fear. It's the people that are afraid, but they go anyway. And then we all found out he wasn't really in the military, but he said he was. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't afraid to say he was.
hell of a special teams coach, I'll tell you that.
Should have been afraid of resume checking.
There you go. Nice job, Matt Derrick and Frank Gans. That'll do it for the Chiefs Get All the Calls region. We got one more clip to play, but it is a little bit of a longer clip for the Chiefs Get All the Calls region. And then we've got the Midwest region and the West region, otherwise known as the Boys Are Playing Some Ball, and the Sterling Stash region. We'll do that on the other side of the break. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More zone next and some ZOUs as well. Chiefs get all the calls. Number 5, Oregon is gone. They lost to Arizona. And that means we lost this sound. A little bit of a longer clip, but enjoyable all the same. Here's Oregon. Gone.
My name is Josh Brand. I come to y'all humble as I can. It's game 1. I love the Florida Gators. I die for the Florida Gators. The University of Florida football team has me sitting in front of a Denny's, damn it. When the last time you on purpose went and sat in front of a damn Denny's, damn it? I'm not saying nothing disrespectful to Denny's, but there's a lot of other options. And that Gator team, after watching, Miami fans came in there. I've never seen nothing like this. It would look like it was about 12 of them at the start of the game. And then it multiplied. Went from 12 to 20,000 to 40,000. They had a little corner in the left side of the stadium over there, and they were saying things I wanted to know so bad what they was chanting at us. And then the damn quarterback, he was moving in fast, slow motion. He was looking like Neo in the Matrix. He didn't look that great, but damn it, he was great. There were so many Haitian men and Cuban men and Asian men and women, and white men and women. Miami brought a melting pot. They brought a whole damn crayon to the University of Florida, and they just scribbled all over our damn stadium. I am 40. I'm trying to lose weight. The doctor said if I yell, my blood pressure gonna be high. My blood pressure is higher than Carmen Electra ass in the 90s right now. You understand me? I am in front of a damn Denny's right now. A Denny's right now. Hey, that is Denny's out there. Florida Gators, y'all supposed to make me want to go to Roof Chris. Y'all supposed to make me want to go to Roof Chris and get a medium steak, because I know how to eat a medium steak now, in the water with a couple lemon. I want to be exotic. I throw a lime in there. But no, you got me in Denny's where I'm not sure if the damn plates are clean and they wash their forks. But you know what? I don't care. I ain't finna go in here and ask for no plastic. My fat ass finna go in here and sit at the bar. You know how pathetic I gotta be to sit at a damn bar in Denny's? I'm not going to Texas no more, Miami. I'm not going to Texas. I am going to Texas. I'm just going, because y'all took everything else away from me. Might as well take the rest of the little bitty ass money I got, because y'all came to Gainesville on the damn Saturday at 3:30 and ruined my damn day. I got a whole night to go through. It was so many, can't well lie, I said that. Some say they throwing up the stupid ass you, touching their thumbs at the same time.
Oh, is that it?
I don't remember.
Women fan base is so damn fine that you mad and you angry, but everything they wear is hypnotic. I'm talking about from 25 to 65. I seen a woman that was 72 years old with a white sweater. Baby, you could take them to...
He stopped himself.
I can't go through this no more. I can't do this no more. All I want to do is tell jokes and root for the Gators, and we win a little bit. I understand we're going to lose sometimes. My delusion has become real. My delusion has become real. My delusion is real. I am in front of a damn Denny's right outside of Gainesville, and I am stressed.
Stressed.
My box is just broke right now.
There you go.
Wow. A lot.
That's what happens when you lose to Miami in the first game of the season for Florida and get beat down by them.
Are you going to miss that sound?
That
Nick?
wraps up the Chiefs get all the calls.
Although we're going to hear them all once anyway.
That's right.
Anyway,
how about moving over to the Sterling Stash region?
Oh, there we go.
That is the West region, bottom left corner of your bracket. The West, the Sterling's Stash region. And the 8 seed, UConn. Oh, man, they almost knocked off Florida, one of the top seeds, but they did not. So UConn lost.
Best sound.
Yep. It is a really, it might be the best, but we lost this sound now that UConn is out.
Oh my God, Sterling, you played 3 games, and all of a sudden you're like the life of the party, and everybody's like, hey, nice mustache. Was that Miles Teller? No,
he does
it's
look
not.
like a low-budget Miles Teller impersonator.
You do. You had that going for you there in Tahoe. Low budget, Miles Teller impersonator. Maryland was impersonating it. I don't know. I'm not going to make that transition. They knocked off Colorado State. Colorado State loses the 12 seed, and that means the 12 seed is gone. We lost this sound.
Beefy dongs.
Dang it. My favorite one.
That's a shame.
So close, man.
Come on.
If it wasn't for the travel.
Also,
the
that
non-travel.
might be a hotkey or a sound that might play during the
love
regular
that.
season.
We don't. Yeah, that's exactly right. When somebody hits a huge home run, That's a beefy dong right there.
I would love if
Beefy dongs.
if Kay did audio books for like erotic books, right? Like
You would love it?
the smut ones.
Yeah,
Just
you would love
imagine beefy dongs. Just
I can imagine it. I can hear it, right? What would it sound like?
Vibrato.
What would it sound like? I don't know.
Beefy dongs.
She was enamored by the
Beefy dongs.
Okay, I think
right. Like I feel like Kay would be very good at that audio.
Any voiceover work he's good
Can
at.
we play that all the time? Yes, we can.
Yes,
we
yes,
can.
we can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, they can. Can we play it more than once and not get fired?
Yes, they can.
All right, great. That sounds good. Thank you. Bob Costas would know. He and Chad, same person.
Yes, they can.
All right, so Drake ended up losing in the second round, much to the chagrin of the east side of the state. Lost in the second round, but they fall to Texas Tech. The 11 seed Drake is out. We lost this sound.
I smoked a turkey this past Thanksgiving, so I have an injector now, too.
Curtis smoked a fatty right before the show.
I did.
So.
I feel a lot
I
better
was looking at
because
your
of it.
eyeballs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Raytown.
I'm from Raytown, man. It's in your DNA.
I get that. Yeah, no, I
It's in my
haven't been
strain.
able to smoke in a while. I picked up the smoking hobby like every Kansas Citian this past year, and I just had like a mound of snow near my barbecuing area. So
Oh, you were smoking outside? Okay. I thought you were like...
Like you smoke a pipe. I was giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, you're talking about doobies.
Yeah.
I see.
What are you, 70?
I'm picking,
using the term doobie?
I'm picking
Good
up.
Lord, Curtis and I are supposed to be the old guys.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even be surprised if they were smoking marijuana cigarettes. Ray Fuzz. Doobies.
The devil's lettuce.
So, Drake is gone. We lost a 2 seed. We lost a 2 seed in the bracket with St. John's losing, and that means this sound is out.
Tavares, right in the butt?
What?
No.
No.
Blake.
This is the best.
Yeah, that's it.
I think the correct answer almost is the cherry on top of the sound.
Right in the butt? No. What? So
this is the
every
best.
part of it, though. Like the more you listen to it, it's like a great piece of art. Like you look at it again, you hear it, like, oh wow, I missed this part over there. That's actually makes it a little bit better. But this is the best. Yeah, that's right. This is the best. Not right in the butt.
Well, if you think about it, like this and right have 4 and 5 letters, not the same size of word, and
right,
like the
This.
T's would have already been there. So I mean,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
This.
yeah.
Right. This.
You're just thinking of like Rite Aid, maybe.
Yes.
R-I-T-E.
Right in the butt. What? No.
So, Mick, again, I know you're going to forget what we said on Monday. When I have that one that got cut out, when I said right in the butt,
Yeah,
it was
that was-
because
No, no.
of, now you know.
Because of that fella.
Next time you say it, I'll say what?
Yeah.
Yes, and I'll go, no. And then Dylan will go, this is the best.
We all have our roles.
All right, boys are playing some ball. Region, Midwest, bottom right corner of your bracket. The Gonzaga team, the Dogs, they lost to Houston, and that means we lost this sound.
Just for a couple of people.
Yeah.
Do you do anything else but tweet? Do you do anything else?
I'm sure it's generating a lot
but
of revenue
sit there
for these people.
and tickle yourself in the balls and tweet. That's what
He was talking to you, Mick.
Is that how you're supposed to tweet?
He was talking to you. Do you do anything else?
With a
it was
feather.
a question
Yeah.
specifically. Are you going to answer yes or no? That was a question. That wasn't rhetorical. McNeese won the first round, but they could not Cinderella that thing to the round of 16. They end up losing, and that means McNeese is out, and we lost this sound. I got my money on Jansen.
He kicked my ass on Saturday.
What's his handicap?
Having a friend like Sterling.
Yeah,
There you go. McNeese is out. Couple of more to go here, and the boys are playing some ball. Region. Illinois, they lost to Kentucky, and that means the 6th seed Illinois is out. This sound's gone.
9 3-inch head. 8.5-inch.
I want me some glory hole. Smiles and glory holes.
Jerry Jones is it's different ways of measuring.
An old oil guy, you know?
That's right.
Different
Prospects. I mean,
prospects.
his hand size,
Different definition of the same word.
other size, things like that. All right, we lost UCLA, the 7 seed, and wrapping up the round of 32. This is the final sound eliminated in our round of 32. We lost UCLA. That means this sound is gone.
Sandra, how far has this family come?
We came from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
That's maybe my favorite, too.
It's so good, man. I mean, the committee looking back is like, man, I feel like that was a misseeded one. It's like people are complaining about Gonzaga was misseeded.
What
Louisville
seed was that? That was
a
McNeese?
7 seed. It was UCLA 7 seed.
Okay. 7 seems
it's not bad.
fair.
I mean, it's
got upset. It
top,
happens.
Top 30 sound of the entire year.
Yeah, it happens.
I mean, you think about that. With a 7 seed, you're talking about 7, 14, 21,
28. Yeah.
28. Top 30 sound of the entire year.
It's a top 15 soundbite for me.
It might be, maybe misseeded.
Hey,
You're
Mick, how far did this family come? How far did the Schaefer family come from?
250 miles away, Caldwell, Kansas.
We came all the way from Caldwell, Kansas.
Yeah. Nice.
Wow, yeah, you guys really did come a long way. You literally came a long way to get here. What about the struggles to get to this spot, too? I'm assuming there have been some struggles along. We did, our car did break down along the way, and we did have to get an Uber when we got here, and gas is more expensive than we planned.
We need gas in Emporia.
Yeah, that's there were some struggles along the way. All right, we will take a timeout. We'll come back. Royals, ZOUs, some zone over-unders with the Royals. We do that next. News, though. Somebody who, not breaking news, just some news. Somebody who hasn't eaten solid foods in a couple of weeks and lost upwards of 25 pounds from playing at 180 last year, Mookie Betts, is planning to play to start the season.
Technically, hasn't he already started the season?
That's a good point. Yeah, but so he didn't play the opener. So because he hadn't played he didn't play in those games, and they still won. Because I think the Dodgers are going to win, even if he's sick. But they're trying to figure out what virus he has had, whatever, and he's still struggling. Can't really work out, and not eating solid foods. But now he's going to play
because baseball's easy.
That's what I'm hearing. Like we were talking yesterday about Gavin Cross lost 6 months because he had Rocky Mountain spotted fever or whatever that is, spotted mountain Rocky fever, something like that.
First time.
I think I did too. It's a tick that I have every once in a while, but that's how he got that. But he lost 6 months of baseball and development because of that. But Mookie Betts, he only plays at 180, so I guess he could play at 132. He'd be a better wrestler.
I feel like your math's not great there. 132.
I know. I'm just joking. It's like 155.
Each time Jason brings it up, he's lost more weight.
He's now down to 90
He
pounds.
might have, though. He might have.
Right.
He's actually the first Saturday in May. He's going to be out there on one of those horses. He will be there at 85 pounds, soaking wet. All right, let's get to the ZOUs, the zone over unders. We will we'll go around, and each of us will rotate in going first, second, third, or fourth. Jack will play with us as well, but we'll get his answers at a later date since I got stuff to do.
He's
Whatever.
here. Bring him in. You have to be part of it. Part of the fun.
Got stuff to do. All right, we start on the pitching side. Cole Reagans. We set the wins over under at 13.5. He had 11 last year with a crappy bullpen. So over under Reagans 13.5. I'll start off this one. We'll go. You know what? We'll go me, then we'll go Sterling, then we'll go Mick, and then we'll go Dylan. And then
every time.
No, then Sterling. I'm going to go over. Over 13.5 wins for Cole Reagans. Let's do it, baby.
Here we
Let's
go.
do it. Over for 13.5.
Here we go.
Maybe my positivity in the Royals got me. Then my positivity in the Chiefs always helped me out. Then it got me. Now, if I'm positive with the Royals, it can start to be like the Chiefs. Anyway, Sterling, 13.5 over under.
I hope he does, but I'm going under.
You hater. Mick, I'm going to go under for you.
Word for word what Sterling just said.
Yep. Dylan, over under 13.5.
I will also go under.
Yeah, that's a point for me, baby. You guys are dummies.
Something.
Dummies. Sterling leads us off on this one. Seth Alugo, ERA. We set that at 3.3. His ERA last year was exactly 3. So what say you with Seth Lugo's ERA? We put it 3.3.
Hope it's under, but I'm going over.
Mick, under?
No, this is a close one for
over.
me. The last 4 years, he's been right around that mark.
That's why I did it.
3 was, I feel like it was.
Gives him 0.3 to a wiggle room there.
It does.
0.29.
I think I have him finishing at 3.31, so I'm going to go over.
Okay,
over.
hater.
It's a close one.
Committee
did a good job there.
Dylan?
I'll take the under.
Under. I am going under as well. Shocker. Wow. With that one. Here we go. And that's a
So
point
Mick
for
and I are
Dylan
in a lockstep.
It's
baby.
a point for Dylan and
He
I.
might continue to be.
All right. Point for Dylan and I. Chris Bubich starts. Last year he had all of 0. We set the over-under at 21.5. Alec Marsh had 24 starts last year. So 21.5. Mick, we start with you. I'm going to go ahead and put the under on you.
Yeah, if he's the Alec Marsh of the staff, then, it's going to be close anyway, and I think there's going to be other guys vying for that spot, and he has not shown that he can always be the most reliable with injuries, so I'm going to go under.
Under, okay, shocker. Dylan.
I like the Royals this year.
I don't think
but
you
this is
do.
a really good job.
No, I will say, I set some aggressive lines on these.
they were aggressive.
I did some aggressive lines, but I'm going off Alec Marsh last year. This is 3 fewer starts than Alec Marsh had last year.
2.5.
And that guy was, but to get to the over or the under. And that guy was injured, and then, they brought in Lorenzen. But anyway, go ahead, Dylan.
I'll also take the under.
Okay. You guys will be surprised what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go over.
Eat right
on
at
that
it,
one.
21.5. Oh,
I'm going to go.
That would surprise me.
Over on Chris Bubich. Sterling?
I've actually been pretty tempered in expectations for Chris Bubich. I'll go over.
I already wrote down under for you. Look at that. My first time I've had to erase one.
I think he goes over. I think it's going to be close, but
Luckily,
I'm hoping so much he goes over.
I've got magic ink. It shows up on my computer, and then I just erase the ink real quick, and then I put other ink there. All right, we go to the Dylan. We will start with you on this one. Bullpen total saves. Last year they had 41 for an 86-win team. We set the over-under at 43.5. Again, we're getting more aggressive.
But they had kind of a bad half.
They
first
had
half,
a
right?
rough first half.
I'll go over then.
Over for Dylan. I'm also going over. Sterling.
I'm going over.
And Mick.
Positivity, I'm going over. They
No
were so
way!
bad last year.
I know, right?
43.5, that's not a lot.
Okay.
Especially if you're going to plan on winning 85, 90 games,
Okay.
you should have that many saves.
All right, we're going to redo that one. We set the over-under at 53.5.
Under then, back to it. I'm frowning again.
All right, and this is, we just pick out a name here, and we start with 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, so we start with me. Who leads the Royals in saves? Just coming up with a name. Last year, MacArthur had 18. He led the Royals in saves. Nobody had MacArthur last year. Urseg had 11.
I thought I had MacArthur last year.
You may have had MacArthur last year.
I think lost, but.
Yeah, leads to. Oh, yeah, you did have MacArthur.
Didn't we do?
You and I both had MacArthur. That's crazy. Will Smith for Dylan and Mick last year. But anyway,
There somehow was a pick worse than MacArthur. And
yes,
I made it.
I'm going with Emilio Estevez leading the Royals in saves this year. Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, I'm going with Carlos Estevez.
Ooh, that's going to be interesting. Which one of us wins? Mick.
I say we hold him to it. It has to be Emilio.
It's
gotta be Emilio.
Lucas Ursig.
Ursig for you and Dylan.
And I have to go Lucas Ursig because I just said that the other day.
We're spirit
That's
animals.
right. You did say Ursig the other day.
Ursig would be the closer.
So Ursig 2-2. We are split, and I do wonder how close this split is going to be this year between Estevez and Ursig.
I think close.
We shall find out. All right, over to the offensive side of the field. Position players. Bobby Howitt. Home runs, stolen bases combined. Again, an aggressive line.
Aggressive.
I set this line aggressive
Yes, he
because
can.
he's been working on stolen bases in the offseason. So he got 63 last year combined home runs and stolen bases. We set it at 75.5. We can drop it to 73.5 if you feel like that's closer to what it should be.
You've said it. It's
Okay,
been
so you're
set.
just going to go under on that one? Great. All right, so the first one to lead us off here is Sterling.
Son of a! I didn't want to go first.
You're going first.
1 second. I'm going over. He had 79 in 2023. I'm going over.
Yep.
It's a good line.
But a lot of the stolen bases, too, and that's what I'm saying.
You're
He's
all
gonna-
counting on him bouncing back in the stolen bases.
100%.
That's
If
all
you're
it
going to
is.
go over, it's bags.
Because
I
it's
don't
30 home
trust
runs.
the stolen base portion that he or the club wants or needs to steal that many, so I'm going to go under.
All right, under for Mick. Dylan?
I'll take the over.
All right, over for you as well, and I will take the over.
Man,
Surprising.
Mick hates the Royals.
Mick is on
Dude,
an
man, I
island
can't
on this
stand
one.
These guys.
Boy, out
I
of
want
all
to
of
move
us,
the stadium. I want to change the colors.
Boys in blue, more like the boys in boo.
Yeah.
so crazy. So, like, starting tomorrow for the next 162 games, the three of us will be rooting for Bobby Witt, and one of us will be rooting against him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Go.
Boy.
Tanner Bybee tomorrow.
Man, I just only when the number 2 hitter's up.
Right. Yes.
Go triples and no stolen bases. Yay. Triples and doubles. Triples and doubles.
If he hits a triple every time, I'm definitely going to win that category.
No, that's
Steals
home runs and stolen
home,
bases.
stealing home.
76
times. Okay.
Done. And the inside the Parkers. That should have been triples.
Yeah.
All right. Salvi, extra base hits. Mick, we start with you. We set the over-under at 53.5. Last year he had 55. So 53.5 for Salvi, which is down 8 from the year before that, which is why we dropped it to 53.5.
He had
so
63.
I think he had
No,
like
it was a couple of years for one of the 48
maybe it was
season.
yeah, a couple of years ago.
He's
there.
only gone over 53.5, I think, twice in his career.
Twice.
The 48 season and
And
last
last
year.
year.
He is getting older. Again, I believe in him, but it's a very aggressive
Boy,
line by the committee.
I kinda don't think you believe in him.
I'm going under.
I'm wondering if you
Going
believe
under.
in anybody on this team. It's so weird, like these lines, how aggressive they are for what we think the Royals can be this year, as opposed to like years past. It's like ERA over under 4.8, stolen bases over under a half.
Can Brian Bannister get under a 6 ERA?
Your Aces wins 8.5.
8.5. I think Greinke we had like 7.5 a few years ago. Wins 64.5 for this team. Yes, they can. Dylan, Salvi, extra base hits.
Yes, they can.
53.5. Over or under?
I'll go I'll go over.
Over for you. Okay. I am going to go. This is surprising. This is really going to surprise some people. I'm going to go over with Salvi. I think he's going to get to 54 minimum. Sterling?
Think he gets 53.
Oh,
under.
wow.
Under.
Okay.
Sterling had him at 53 the whole offseason. Don't waver on that.
52 and a half?
Wow.
Yes.
Vegas is amazing. 53 and a half. That's crazy. I think because they plan on playing them actually fewer games, I think that's going to result in more because at the end of the season, he was not hitting nearly as many doubles or home runs. He wasn't. The power was sort of sapped. And watching that home run yesterday, I mean, come on, dude. He just reached out his bat to a low and outside pitch, and he hit it 420 to dead center. Like
he swung at something low and outside.
Yes, I know. And he hit it 420. It wasn't even one of those Salvi like, oh my God, he got into it. And it didn't even sound like, oh my God, that's gone.
Would you call it a beefy dong?
It was a beefy dong. Jonathan India. We are going to use on-base percentage for India since that's what he was brought over for. And because his batting average about 250 or whatever. So we're going to set on-base percentage at 350 for India. Last year was 357. So we're setting over-under at 350. And I believe we are starting with Mick on this one. No, we're starting with Dylan on this one, right? Oh, thank God. Yep, Dylan, you're first up with India on-base percentage. Over or under 350. 357 last year.
Give me the over. Because they're going to pitch to him instead of Bobby.
Over for you. You guys are going to be surprised by this, but I went under on Jonathan India in on-base percentage at 350. Sterling. I really wanted to go over because of Dylan's thoughts.
I'm going
Sterling's probably.
I'm going over.
Over. Mick.
He's going to get pitched to. It's a bigger park.
Yeah.
Some of those balls are going to drop. But it's a new league, new pitchers. I'm going under.
You hate India, too.
Sorry.
You hate the country. You hate the player. You hate everything about India. It's ridiculous.
If it was Jimmy Thailand, I'd be all for him.
Let's go ahead and mark that for next year's bracket of sound. That might be a top 3 seed. All right. Melendez and Renfroe, home runs combined.
Under. I don't know what it is. Under.
They hit 32 combined home runs last year.
What are up with these lines?
35 and a half. Well, Renfroe's in better shape now.
Playing less, probably.
And he and he was injured last year. He missed some time. He might hit 35 himself. Okay. All right, I go first on this one. So the over-under 32, or last year was 32. The over-under 35 and a half this year. I'm going under. Sterling?
Yeah, under. I learned my lesson after last year when I
bet
that
was
on
Velazquez and Renfroe.
I was not even close.
They believe a little bit more in MJ, obviously, than Velazquez.
They do, but I don't. Under.
That makes sense. Yep. Mick?
Yeah, this is so under.
So under. Even last year when they sucked, it was only under by 4.
Could you put so under?
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm gonna put
what years together are they going over?
Under.
Yeah.
So under. We've got that one for Mick. Dylan. So over or so under?
Talk like Gardner Minshew.
So under.
You are so under?
So under, yeah.
Under for you. All right, that one's not going to matter. We all went under on that one. All right. Jack Tani, Jack Caglione. That ZOU was jacked up. Games played for Jack Caglione.
In the majors, right?
Yes.
Okay.
In the
Good call.
That's right. Hopefully there are a lot of those this year. Games played for Jack Caglione, we set it at 25.5. The reason we set it at 25.5 is because September 1st to the end of the season is 25. So, if he's a September call-up, he would also need to play all the games, but 25.5 for Jack Caglione. And we start off with Sterling.
Under. I think Gavin Cross gets the call first.
Mick.
Under. The Royals are notoriously late on bringing guys up, especially in the minds of their fans. I'm going to go under.
I'm going to go over for some reason. I'll just go against the crowd here.
I am thinking that they are going to bring him up mid to late August if he's ready to go.
Still might be close.
Even if he doesn't play every day, I think he'll get to 26 games and still keep rookie eligibility, which would still keep his prospect performance draft pick if he breaks camp next year with the Royals if it's mid-August. So I am also going to go over like a dummy. Because because I'm very excited. All right, this is simply a yes or no, or an over/under. I don't know, whatever you want to. Fact or fiction? Maybe, maybe not. Top 2 has to be top 2 now.
Why top 2?
Because Bobby was number 2 and Seth Lugo and Reagans were right there. Top 2, and Bobby Witt's now got the cachet. There's no Soto.
I know.
Top 2, either Bobby Witt or Reagans or Lugo or bleep it, anybody on the Royals finishes top 2 MVP or Cy Young. Because last year we did top 5, and both of them, both of them ended up in that. We start with you, Mick.
Still pretty ballsy to say last year, yes. For one of those
I know,
guys.
right?
This is just...
You guys all had yes. I had no last year.
For me, I am just voting on Bobby Witt here. And I have said yes to top 2 in MVP.
All right. Dylan.
If it was anybody else for any other category.
Yeah, I got to go yes here.
I went yes as well. I mean, for both, really, but whatever. Reagans is winning the Cy Young, and Lugo's finishing second, and Witt is finishing first, and Jack Caglione is finishing second in the MVP. Anyway, Sterling.
Yeah, that makes it. I almost wish we'd have done MVP because now I'm saying yes also.
Because of Bobby?
Well, yeah, because Bobby, but also gives you a little bit of wiggle room with if Gunner goes off or if Aaron Judge does Aaron Judgian things yet again. I think Bobby Witt Jr.
For like 4 months.
Well, I think Bobby Witt Jr. gets to like nearly 120 RBIs. He had 109 last year with the worst spot in all of baseball being the lead-up spot for the Royals.
It's true.
So I'm sitting here going, the RBI numbers are going to go up even if some of the, let's say the average goes down a little bit from 332.
Well, I think the stolen bases are going to be up, though. And
I
the
agree.
Home runs. We can readdress that one from 4 over-unders ago.
I just think the
I think he'll steal
RBIs
more bases.
Or will India be in front of him all the time and he won't be able to steal as many bags?
But India's not slow. I mean, it
Yeah,
wasn't
but a
like
single
anyone
is going to send India first to third because
Yeah.
he's so smart. He's such a smart ball player. He's so smart. God, he's so smart. Just so smart. All right, final one. Wins for the Royals. They won 86 last year. We set the over-under at 99.5. No, I'm joking. 87.5 for the Royals. Over-under.
Why is it not 86.5?
Because that would
Dang
be too
it.
obvious. Mick Schaefer, I believe we start with you on this one. I don't know who we start with. It doesn't
I
matter.
have
We'll get
him. It's close, but I have him at 87.4 wins, so I'm going under.
If you'd have had the over-under 87.39,
Yeah,
I would have been over on
it's
that
like
one.
you're in my head.
87.5, Dylan.
What we finished with? You said
86 last year, so 2 games better than what they were last year.
Yeah, I'll take the over.
I am going over because I had him at 88, so that's why I went 87.5 with the over/under. But honestly,
Vegas got him at. Do you know?
What's Vegas at 92?
No
I actually don't know
way.
what Vegas. I'll look it up because Sterling, you're up right now, so you can't look it up.
I can't.
Sterling over/under.
This one was hard for me because I actually did have him at 87.
Oh, really?
So
oh, my goodness.
this one actually sucks.
So did you want to just bump it up one?
My Pythagorean theorem.
Bump it up.
He only wins. Q does numbers that end in 6. Right.
83.5 was the over/under, and I'm not going to use Vegas's line because, come on, we all would have went over on that.
Okay, so this is going to be called an emotional hedge.
Okay.
I'm going under, so if I win, I at least get a point. If the Royals win more games, I'm like, yes, let's be awesome because the Royals won more
I'll
games.
tell you this: what we're going to be ordering for lunch, your bank account's going to be going under. All right,
Here's
so
the deal.
thank you.
You guys
for
are going to
losing.
pay me for lunch, but I'm going to hate it. I really am. I'm going to hate it.
We're doing lunch. We're doing the. I thought my idea was pretty good.
I thought your idea
that makes one of us.
Yeah, no, I get nothing out of that when you do
Jason's
that.
vote counts as 10 in that situation.
I like
too,
that.
so,
Thank you.
yeah, I changed that number.
No, my
for whatever
vote.
we need.
So my vote counts extra here because I don't get one at home. So then I bring that. It's like taking a timeout with you with basketball coaches when they leave
I
a
thought
timeout
it was
there. You get to
great.
take it with you.
What if the loser does a Waffle House challenge?
Oh no!
And
I
you
said
do
that
the
too,
entire
yes.
show from the Waffle House.
Oh boy, I don't know.
I'm in. I thought it was funny. I said
I kinda
wax.
wanna try that
I
out.
said get your chest waxed, and
Yeah,
that'd be
that's just
hilarious,
the
dude.
Weirdest thing I've ever heard.
No, you do the show whilst getting your chest waxed.
Some of us are giving us
That
a
would-
lot more than others.
Now,
there as
whilst
well.
is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. You
What?
just keep
Thank
one-upping
you.
yourself.
Thank you for
thank
saying
you.
that, Mick. Thank you for saying that.
Right in the butt.
What?
No. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Mick Schaefer, Dylan Michaels. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We will hear from John Sherman coming up, I believe, about 5 minutes from now. He will address the media.
Schedule.
That is on the schedule. That's what it says. It's scheduled for a 1:50 meet and greet for season ticket holders. Or a press conference for the media members that are credentialed that are there. That's the schedule. A 1:50 for John Sherman. Yeah. And so you'll hear that right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll play that in its entirety, and then we will hand the show off to the program after John Sherman's press conference is over, and we'll see what he has to say about what's the latest in the stadium talk. Are they going to 119th and Knoll? Washington Square out? What about West Village? What about East Village? What about the North Village? Is there a South Village maybe you can go to as well? Where are you looking at right now? And are you close? And are you still planning on 2027 playing baseball games in a new stadium? Like, let's see where we're at with this thing with John Sherman. I don't know what he's going to say, but I'm assuming he's going to be asked a decent amount about that.
I'm sure he'll be very definitive. I mean, just some rock solid, absolute answers here.
Yeah, probably. More than likely.
I'm actually here to talk about the team. Any questions with the team?
What if he said Veach handles that? I wanted to say Veach handles all that. Or if he says I just got in. Rick's not in yet with the injuries, so I'm not sure if you can. We'll get Burkholder. Can we get Burkholder? Will pass that along.
Awesome.
To different
We can
spots
talk to him once a year.
This is the first time I'm actually hearing this. This is the first time a new stadium?
But if it was Spags, it'd be like, I'll take your word for it. I'm sort of moving on to the regular season right now. But if you said it, then I'll take your word for it. But yeah, I mean, if
we're just worried about the Indians. No, I said the Guardians.
I said the Guardians
this morning. So
but,
yeah.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I don't know. This is great. Good to see everybody again. I don't really have anything.
Sherman joining the show.
You gonna interview him as Jim Rome?
Hey Sherm.
Hey,
where's
John.
Where's the stadium going, Sherm?
Hey John, you got an update on that stadium anytime soon? Would like to know how long it's going to take me to get to and from the ballpark when it's over. Ding ding. Be nice to know. Ding ding. Can plan out when I'm going to retire. Ding ding. Is it a shorter trip? Then I'll stay on. Ding, do I have to drive longer? Well, see you later.
Where's
gone me.
Where's the parking spot going to be?
Not sure. It's going to be up at KCI. Ding ding. Still going to be there. I don't know where my parking spot will be.
Sherma.
Just as long as Ryan's not in it.
Is the stadium going to be
in
the jungle?
Hey, Ryan, why don't you step into my office? I'm going to punch you in the face. Ding, ding. Parked in my parking spot again. You know it's easy to spot, and it's easy for me to park. It's my parking spot at the stadium. Thanks, Ryan. Do it again, see what happens. Give you the old ding, ding. Ding, ding. Reagan's on the mound. Denny, your mic's on.
Ball one. This game is slow to a crawl.
And ball one. This game's really slowed down. Christ, who said this game was moving along quickly? All right. We'll hear from John Sherman.
That was Denny.
That was Denny's press conference. So that was we went live for that one. So we appreciate him speaking to the media.
You have a great impression of Denny. You have a great impression of Jim Rome because it's just your regular voice.
Ding ding. It's actually Jim Rome actually does an impression of Sterling from time to time.
Call. Rack him.
So are you trying to sound like him now? I can't tell. Can't tell.
Is that Bill Shakespeare over there? Salvi will be talking today as well, and Cole Reagans and Matt Quattrero. You'll hear that throughout the program today as the Royals have their open workout coming up starting at 3 o'clock.
Some players afterwards, so hopefully we get to hear from Bobby Witt and Vinny maybe.
Hopefully. Annie Rogers this morning on A New Day said that she watched the batting practice for Vinny yesterday and said that he was hitting tanks and looked fine. From what she saw, it looked good, but we'll see, it's a batting practice. Does that mean he can play the field? Is he DHing? Can he run?
That's my guess. He'll be the
Yeah.
DH.
Can he run
tomorrow.
fast to first base if need be? Don't worry about legging out a double play, Vinny. You're probably not going to do it anyway. So Jose Guillen that thing down to first. All right? Drop the bat, do a little jog down to first. You're good, man. We're all good.
Giancarlo Stanton, that's what he's going to do.
All right, here's John Sherman.
Afternoon. Thanks for coming. Very excited.